Good afternoon. Welcome to the, strictly speaking, this is the Q4 2024 meeting of the Board of Directors, although it is January of 2025. I am Chairman Mark Falcon. In a moment, we will begin with introductions for the board members and officers who are here for the board meeting, and then we will commence the meeting and get about the business. As I said, I am Chairman Mark Falcon, and going across my screen in no particular order, other than the fact that they are going across my screen. Louise, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Louise Ducray. I am your Vice President for Corporate Operations out here in California.
Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Hall. I'm the Society Seneschal. I'm known in the Society as Gwendolyn Neation, and I reside in the Kingdom of Meridies.
Pug.
Hi, I'm Pug Bader, Director for Seat E for East Ethelmark, Trimaris, and Glen Aubin. And I live in the Kingdom of Onsteora in Austin, Texas.
Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Richardson. I am the Corporate Treasurer. I live in Kaid, and I go by the name of Tetra Green Lake.
Bonnie.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Stringer, known in society as Marcel Aurelian. I live in Glen Aubin, and I am the Society Exchequer for just a few more minutes.
Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Schreier. In the Society, I'm known as Elisette Inindirmata. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, which is in the Kingdom of Calontir, and I am the Emergency Deputy to the Society Seneschal.
Val.
Hi, I'm Val Pham, and in the SCA, I'm known as Baldwin de Lafayette. I'm from the Barony of the Steppes in the Kingdom of Onsteora.
Andrew.
I'm Andrew Harness. I'm your Society Chatelaine. In the SCA, I'm known as Otter Surtson, and I live in Wichita, Kansas, which is in Calontir.
Jonathan.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Foster. I'm the Director for Seat C. I'm the Ombudsman for the Outlands, Calontir, the Society Chatelaine, the Society Web Minister, and the Corporate VP of IT. In the Society, I'm Johannes Glenfidenis, and I reside in North Shield.
Shep.
Hi, I'm KT Shepard. As you heard the chairman refer to me, you'll often hear them call me Shep. In the SCA, I am Ulrich von Brandenburg. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, Shire of Glenree in Meridies. I am the Ombudsman for Ontir, Kaid, West, and the Marshallate.
Krista.
Good morning. My name is Krista Katz. I am the Director for Seat A, which means I'm the Ombudsman for Atlantia, Aidenvelt, Mid-Realm, and Board Recruiting. I'm the SCA. I'm known as Brecca DiPileri, and I live in the Kingdom of the West.
Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Poor. I am Director-elect for CE. In the SCA, I'm Ekaterina Krakovna, and I live in the Kingdom of the Outlands.
Megan.
Hello, all. I am Megan O'Shea. I'm the Director for Seat B, the Ombudsman for Onsteora, Artemisia, Meridies, North Shield, Arts and Sciences, and Publications. In the Society, I'm known as Sumaya Al-Ghazaid, and I reside in Sylvan, Ethelmark.
Uni.
Hi, I'm Unni Lane, or in the Society, Birgitta Lulli. I'm the Laurel Queen of Arms. I'm from Helsinki, Finland, or the Kingdom of Drachenwald. So, good evening.
And good evening to you too. Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Noble McGee, currently your Society Minister for Arts and Sciences. In the Society, I'm known as Hildegard Bergerine, and I reside in Atlantia.
Leslie.
Hi, I am Leslie Luther Fulton. I am the Executive Assistant to the Board of Directors. In the SCA, I am Jane Fallett of Inglewood, and I live in the Barony of Greynish in the Kingdom of Glen Aubin, that being the modern lands of Memphis, Tennessee.
Joan.
Hi, I'm Joan Stoyer. I'm Director for Seat B. I'm the Ombudsman for Avakal, Drachenwald, Eldemir, and Ilkach. I am from St. Louis, Missouri, which is in Callantyre. In the society, I'm known as Rhiannon Verkebron ap Griffith.
Nicholas?
I'm Nicholas Milano. I am the Society Web Minister. I currently reside in the Kingdom of Meridies in the Barony of Iron Mountain, which is modernly known as Birmingham, Alabama.
Aaron?
Erin Potter Tien, I'm the incoming Society Exchequer. Sorry, the camera's off. We are currently driving back from Burka in New Hampshire. Modernly, I'm from west of Cleveland, residing in the Middle Kingdom.
And since I was remiss in doing so, I should mention that in the society, I am Duke Martin Lochner, hailing from the Kingdom of Trimaris. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our two ASL interpreters who are on the call with us. Their names are not showing up for me, so I'm going to butcher that unless Louise will help me out.
Wendy and Sean. Thank
Wendy
you
and
guys
Sean,
for being here.
which is absolutely not what's showing up in the panelist list. So thank you very much. But Wendy, Sean, thank you very much for helping us. With the introductions being set, I will open the floor to the directors who, if one is minded to do so, perhaps might offer a motion to begin the meeting. Megan?
Mr. Director, Mr. Chairman, I move we open the date at January 26, 2025 meeting of the Board of Directors for the Society of Creative Anachronism.
There's a motion from Director O'Shea. I see a second from Director Capps. Is there a discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Are there any opposed? There being none, that motion is carried and this meeting is opened. I would now entertain motions to accept items out of order or accept the agenda, excuse me. Director Shepherd.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the agenda as presented and accept agenda items out of order as necessary.
There's a motion from Director Shepherd. Is there a second? Second from Director Foster. Is there a discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed. And by a motion, by a vote of 6-0, that motion carries, and we have accepted the agenda and will take items out of order as necessary. Director Shepherd, I believe you have a request.
I do, Mr. Chairman. I move that we, or I don't know if I need to make a motion for it, that we...
You don't, that suggestion would be just fine.
I suggest that we move any items that the Society Herald, Uni has, or the Society Treasurer has to the beginning of our meeting so that they can meet, so that Uni can get some rest and that Carolyn can meet some modern issues. Not issues, obligations.
By consensus and without objection, so ordered. Let's start with Uni, considering the time difference. That would, I believe I'm correct in saying that would be jumping to item 6E, the Society Herald's report.
Right, thank you. Starting with the from the top, this quarter there is one requested board action. It's been apparent that the time limit for correcting errors in pictures or on the letters of intent is set a bit too early. That is earlier than the scheduled check for these letters. And because of this, we propose to amend the administrative handbook to relax this deadline for those cases where the incorrect pictures do not affect the ability of the College of Arms members to actually do their job and comment on the submissions.
Director Bainter.
I move that we accept the changes to the administrative handbook as presented by Laurel Sovereign of Arms.
The motion for Director Bainter, is there a second? Second for Director Shepherd. Is there discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And by a vote of 6-0, that motion carries and that change is accepted.
And then going to policy interpretations. First, there are 11 separate updates to the standards for evaluation of names and armory, and 6 to the various appendixes of SINA. That's quite a bit more than usual. Anyway, item 1 clarifies that life stories of saints will be treated the same way as literature for the purposes of documenting names. Items 2 and 3 refine our rules for names that appear to be titles, either ones used by titles used by people or titles that would imply supernatural powers. These rules have already been in effect. This is a clarification. Items 4 through 6 and 8 through 11 revise our armory rules to match increased understanding of period armory. I'm happy to say our current Wreath King of Arms is very productive in his work. Item 7 clarifies that a combination of name and armory that destroys medieval ambience is disallowed, even when the name or armory by themselves would not be problematic. That is, while we allow name and arms submissions that are jokes, we do not allow such jokes that are explicitly modern enough to drag people out of the period presence. Items 12 through 14 update our appendices on various name patterns, and items 15 through 17 the appendixes on armory patterns to match increasing understanding of how things were in period.
As a point of clarification, Leslie, I believe I'm correct in saying that since there are four separate policy interpretations, each with sub-bullet points.
I believe you can do the first 12 from PN 1B2D2 through, hold on, the updated Appendix M, since they're all from SINA en masse, and then do your glossary of terms. Is that what you're asking?
That is exactly what I was getting
Right.
ready to ask.
And then your appendices. I believe you can do them in bulk in those orders.
In agenda terms, I think could vote to accept or reject item 1, sub items 1 through 17 in bulk, and separately item 2, items sub items 1 through 6, and so on.
That is my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Director Bainter.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the updates to SINA as presented by Laurel Sovereign of Arms.
Second from Director Capps. And as a point of clarification, my assumption is that you were referring to sub items 1 through 17 under item 1 in toto.
Yes, all of B1.
Just check it.
Yep.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Director Shepherd.
So I don't want to be a party pooper, but I kind of have a little bit of a problem with point 7, which doesn't allow for modern jokes and heraldry, which I get. I get, but there's also a break level of we don't want to damage other people's fun too. We had in our kingdom, we had a Duke, Stefan Wolf, who had stairs and a wolf, and it was a little jarring, but it was also very funny and very endearing. And I have a slight worry of taking, I want to be serious, but I don't want to be to the point where we're taking ourselves too seriously, that we can't have a little fun inside the framework of the heraldry that we have. I don't mean anything explicit. I don't mean anything offensive. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you can make a little wordplay, we've got a knight in North Shield who has 3 hounds above. Below, he has 3 moons. It's a 3-dog knight, and he's a knight. It's kind of funny, and it also meets our heraldic requirements. Going into color, it's all past and everything, and I don't want the SCA to lose that. That's my concern with this. If this doesn't do that, I'm fine with it.
Director Banker?
Yes, heralds don't make jokes. They can't. That said, I think the key part here is obtrusively modern. They want those types of puns to happen in general.
Okay.
It's what does it jarringly bring the masses out of the historic aspect of it? And what examples you gave, I don't think would. I could be mistaken, and that is it.
Amy, could you speak to that for me, please? If that's going to be an
Yes.
issue.
The examples given in Sina include the armorial depiction of the no entry sign as blazoned for, compiled from a bordure and a bend, or the name side examples such as Porsche, Audi, or Artemisian Tank Corps.
Awesome.
So we are talking about that level of obtrusive.
Awesome. Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better. I just, when we start putting things like this out there, people will take things to extremes, and I want to make sure that that some clever stuff is okay. Just don't be,
Yes, and we are very explicit in saying that jokes are fine as long as they won't grab you by the neck and drag you to the 21st century.
I'm fine with it then. Thank you. I just want to make sure that not only was I fine with it, but the populace understood as well when they watched this. And thank you so much.
Further comments or questions? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries, and these policy interpretations to Sena are adopted. Mooney, please continue.
Yes, going to section 2, changes to the glossary of terms. Item 1 clarifies the badge of the Order of Defense on where the blades should cross, as discussed in the last quarter meeting. Item 2 clarifies the protection we offer to the Red Cross, Red Crescent, Red Crystal, as specified in the International Red Cross Treaty. We really don't want to make those people angry. Items 3 through 6 update our tables on armorial defaults to clean up our practice.
Director Banter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the changes of glossary terms in section B2 in total as presented by Laurel Sovereign Avant.
As a motion from Director Banter and an enthusiastic second from Director Shepard, who edged out Director Foster. Director Banter?
I have my correction to my submission. It's Laurel Queen of Arms, not Sovereign.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and these changes to the glossary of terms are adopted. Uni?
And then we get to subsection 3, changes to the administrative handbook appendixes. There are 2 of these that they update our lists of sources we consider either unreliable or widely enough available to not require photocopies. That's a pretty standard thing to happen as our understanding of the value of various sources changes and as new sources become available.
Director Bainter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the changes to administrative handbook appendices in section B3 in total as presented by Laurel Queen of Arms.
That is a motion for Director Bainter and a second from Director Capps. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And by a vote of 6-0, that motion carries and these changes to the administrative handbook appendices are adopted.
Yes, and subsection 4, changes to the list of alternate titles, includes new lists of alternate titles for Middle Egyptian and Demotic Egyptian.
Director Bainter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the list of alternate titles in section B4 as presented by Laurel Queen of Arms.
The motion from Director Bainter and a second from Director Foster. Is there a discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand, and not too soon. Directors opposed? And by a vote of 6-0, that motion carries and the changes to the list of alternate titles are adopted. Mooney, please continue.
Going on, section 3, new policies. There are none at this time. Section D, commendations. Do I understand correctly that these are still being published separately? So there's no need to read these at this time. So going to section E, the general status report. First of all, work on proposals for the name and insignia of the ranged martial activities peerage has been going on. It is being considered as the next item on this agenda, if I understand correctly. Second, the virtual known world heraldic and scribal symposium is currently in progress, hosted by the Kingdom of Eldomere. And at this time, I would like to thank the organizers for setting up a quite splendid symposium. And third, we should be having a known world heraldic symposium this summer. Unfortunately, there has been a series of issues in organizing that symposium that are or have not been in the power of the tentative organizers. And at the moment, it looks like the symposium will need to be held as a virtual symposium instead of gathering us for an event in the physical world. The final decision on this will be done a week from now, as some last-minute details are being pursued, but it very much looks that way. And that really is is my report at this time. So thank you.
At this time, I will unmute myself and then direct a question to the directors, no pun intended. If there are any questions or requests for clarification or elaboration, et cetera, regarding the report of the Society Herald. In that case, by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Herald is gratefully accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing on our agenda will be the item 6E1, which is the proposed names and insignia for the range peerage. Shep, I believe I'm correct in saying that we'd like to take this next, and since that also substantially will involve Uni's time.
Yes,
okay,
please, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Trying to summarize the written report I sent you. Last June, the founding of the peerage order was approved, and I was directed to start work towards developing and submitting an appropriate name heraldry for the new order. This proposal was discussed at the October board meeting, at which point I was directed to propose several options for the name and insignia. And so suggestions were gathered from both the working group that had been compiling the first proposal, and also from the membership at large. A number of proposals or proposed names and badges have been entering the registration process in November and December, with the goal that once we get to a decision on what the society as a whole wants, we can finish the heraldic registration process and get this done. And you are both muted at the moment.
Yes, I want to thank Uni for this well thought out and well presented proposal. It has the strengths and weaknesses of each of the options, and there was an initial polling amongst a smaller group to see the popularity of each. I think at this time we're going to take the feedback that we've received and work up a public polling for the entire membership in order to get feedback from them. And that, I believe, will be the final step we need before making a decision on which ones to move forward with for the actual order. We'll take into account the feedback we've received through SCA comments, the feedback we've received from the heralds in this document, and the results of that polling in order to develop a final decision that can be fully registered and entered into Corpora. And I yield.
Leslie, to your recollection, when I mean, it's a while ago, but when we did the publication and polling for the name, insignia, regalia, etc., for the Order of Defense, and this is not for the changes to Corpora that enacted them, but for for the same place in the process. When we polled for that a while ago, what was the time frame that we put on that polling? I should remember that, but I don't.
Looks like I froze. I want to say it was a month. I know you're talking about the last final polling,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say that it was a month. I know it was not longer than a month, because they felt that it had already been discussed and discussed and discussed. I don't think it was quite as short as 2 weeks. It may have been 3 weeks, but I know it wasn't any longer than a month.
Got it.
Okay.
Pug?
A point of clarification, Mr. Director, do I need to make a motion to put this out for polling? Or is that something we direct our corporate communications to do?
Before I answer that question, Megan, would you be responding to his question or have a different question?
Separate question.
Okay. For my part, I think we have the elements that would go into such communication, but I think that we have a little bit of work to do in order to do that. Considering that this is not a corpora change, but a direction to our officers to perform work on our behalf and whatnot, I think we can do so by consensus. But I think that we have some work to draft a few things first to do that. I mean, and to that point, Leslie, do we need to do that in a meeting? I don't know that we do simply to conduct the polling to get down to the last. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But in other words, I think we take a little bit of time to get our proverbial ducks in order, as it were, for language, timing, etc., and then we can direct the officers to do their thing.
Yes.
And then the formal pieces as far as voting and whatnot is concerned comes after that.
Yes.
Megan had her hand up, and then Uni, I'll come back to you.
Good. I can defer to Uni.
Uni?
Yeah. Just please keep in mind that some of these proposed names and badges are still within the commenting period in the submission process. So the report I gave you on January the 1st is not altogether complete. There have been some suggested issues that should be taken into account before sending out the polling. So please make your decision broad enough to allow this kind of preliminary step, so that we won't end up in a situation where the victor of the poll ends up being not registrable for one reason or another.
Understood. That definitely would be part of the work that we would need to do in the intervening time here before we send the polling out.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll return to Megan. Okay. Other questions, other comments regarding the presentation from the Society Herald? All right. In that case, then, by consensus without objection, we certainly are very grateful to receive your excellent work on this, Uni, and we look forward to continuing to follow up on this with you to try to get this positioned for distribution to the membership and in the form of a polling, so that we can ultimately continue to move the process forward. And I expect that we will be taking the steps necessary to do so with all due haste, I guess, but haste without the reckless connotations.
Thank you.
Weird when you consider that English is supposedly my native language. Shep, do we have anything else on the agenda that requires Uni's
Don't
attention?
believe so, Mr. Chairman.
In that case, Uni, we are happy to have your attendance and attention as long as you're willing to give it, but you certainly are free to excuse yourself from the meeting and get some well-deserved rest whenever you feel the need to do so. Shep, I believe the other person we wanted to prioritize was Carolyn.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
As a point of a question, Carolyn, would you prefer to start with the 2025 budget or with your report?
The 2025 budget is in fact my first item on my report, so
Let's go to the report.
might as well discuss that. We did discuss this yesterday, and I did not get the email from Louise regarding just some changes on classifications of expenses. They don't change the bottom line, and Louise and I are mystified as to why I did not get that email, because it popped into my Outlook inbox very briefly this morning and then has disappeared. And she sent it to me again, and that hasn't shown up at all. So don't know what's going on with my Outlook right now. But
under the circumstances, we could either pass it as is and then amend the budget once you're able to redistribute it, or we could return it for further work and then pass it in a subsequent meeting. Louise?
Mr. Chair, the items that I've been trying to send through the morass of Outlook represent about 22,000 reduction in our membership fees from 2024 because they needed to be reclassified. So I feel like we could continue with the budget as is, with the understanding.
Perfectly good either way.
Yeah.
Perfectly good either way. Whatever Carolyn and your preference is.
I would prefer to go ahead.
If it's not a big number, I'm good either way.
Yeah, I would prefer to go ahead and approve it, and any amendments we can address in a conference call in February.
Are any directors opposed to that approach in principle? With that, then we will proceed with the budget as presented, with the notion that we may perhaps make an amendment once that revenue is reclassified in a subsequent amendment. Okay, please proceed, Carolyn, with the budget.
Yeah, the budget as presented, we did discuss. It is projected to show us in a loss position again for this year. I'm hoping that, like this last year, that will not be the case, but given that we had some extraordinary income items this year, I suspect we will probably come closer to breaking even though the budget does not reflect that, because the budget is very conservative on our income side. The loss that I am proposing is $150,000 versus the amount that we actually received this year, which through November was, hold on. As of the end of November, we were running a net profit of about $400,000, which is a little surprising considering, the fact that we, weren't anticipating that. That, however, does include a very large gain on our investment account, which is not operating funds. Our actual operating profit was about $285,000. So that did reflect several extraordinary refunds that we received from our insurance companies. So I think the budget is reasonable, even showing the loss. But I'm willing to entertain changes if you have any. We did not discuss any other changes yesterday, other than increasing the amount of potential income from the non-member registration, because it was running much higher this year than anticipated. Also, I'd like to point out our insurance cost did increase about 9.2%, which is right on target from the draft proposal that I sent to you, but we now do have our actual insurance quote for this year.
Yeah, and I will note in particular that while our insurance quote did increase by 9 and change percent, that when broken down based on the different types of percentage different types of insurance, that there was an outsized increase in our equestrian insurance
again,
which relative to our overall insurance is not the largest single line item in our insurance, but it is a significant portion of that, and it's something that we are going to have to revisit, since that represents a fairly substantial expense for the organization, certainly relative to the income that we generate from equestrian insurance certificates. I don't think that we're prepared to make any budgetary changes at this time, but I think we're going to have to look at that, particularly if the trending for equestrian insurance continues in the direction that it's moving.
The insurance, just for everybody's information, does represent roughly 37% of our total insurance cost. The rest of it is mostly our liability insurance and a few miscellaneous policies like workers' comp and, you know, the D&O insurance and things like that. Those are fairly relatively small portions of the insurance cost.
Other questions, comments from directors or officers regarding the 2025 budget? I'm sorry, Louise?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to note also that this increase comes after a lot of work from our marshal and our equestrian marshal in Carolyn over the past year and change, trying to get better equestrian rates. And our broker did look into a multitude of options, and this insurance that we've got is in fact the cheapest and onlyest option that we have for equestrian insurance. So it's not for lack of trying. And I appreciate Melissa and Doe's work on that.
Absolutely. And Bao or Shep as the ombudsman for the marshalate, if you could certainly pass along the gratitude of the board for the effort, along with yourself as well, Louise, that was put into investigating other options to try to find alternatives for us that might be more cost competitive for our insurance quote for equestrian. That would be appreciated. Val?
I just wanted to say, like, mostly for the membership, that, you know, equestrian is an important part of the SCA, but that is not to say that there aren't challenges associated with having equestrian, and that the society has been looking at it to try to find solutions to the issues that we have.
Megan?
Yeah, I just I think we have to be mindful of the cost. I know yesterday one of the things that kind of struck me was that the discrepancy between the amount that we're paying for the equestrian insurance and how much or how many of the certificates are being requested for it. I think it's something that we definitely have to be mindful about and look into in the future.
Carolyn, or any other final thoughts I should ask that you would like to share on the budget before we continue?
Nothing in particular now.
Okay. Last call for the directors. Any final questions or comments before we hold the floor for motions? All right, in that case, the floor is open for motions regarding the 2025 budget. Director Cap?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the proposed budget by the Society Treasurer as presented for 2025.
There's a motion from Director Capps to accept the 2025 budget as presented. A second from Director O'Shea. Is there further discussion on this motion? Director Bainter?
I can make a friendly amendment, the corporate treasurer.
Corporate treasurer, excuse me. Thank you. And Director Capps, I assume that motion is acceptable, or that amendment, excuse me, is acceptable.
I will always accept friendly amendments.
All right. Further discussion on this motion as amended? In that case, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and the 2025 budget is adopted. Yep, please continue, Carolyn.
Continue with the rest of my report. The requested board actions, you just acted on that. Commendations, as my primary deputy, Bonnie Stringer will be stepping down from the Society Exchequer office soon. Like, I think her warrant expires today. But I believe we have agreed to extend that just a few months. I can't thank her enough for all the work she's put into helping the Kingdom Exchequers over the last 4+ years. That's a very long time to hold that office. and also with the local groups, and also in trying to streamline the process for approving our bank accounts, which has been very difficult thanks to the banks. Revising our financial policies and being the go-to person for most of the local financial issues. She's done an absolutely stellar job in this position, and I'm looking forward to working with her replacement. I'd also like to thank the Society Equestrian Marshal, Melissa Mazur, for her generous help and assistance to both myself and to our insurance agent in trying to obtain alternative sources of insurance for our equestrian events. And unfortunately, they didn't pan out for us, but at least we can say we tried. But as you pointed out, that seems to be our one and only option for our equestrian insurance. General status report. The updated report for the investment account as of the end of November was included with this report. I did just look at the December statement, and the gain we had in November pretty much got wiped out with a loss in December. So we're back to where we were in October. So on the bright side, we do have a gain still in the investment account. So that's nice to see. And as of the end of November, we've been operating in the black since 2000, or this is our first year in operating in the black since 2019. Not surprisingly, given, the hit we took during COVID. That's largely been achieved by keeping down our expenses and boosted as well by some refunds from our insurance company mentioned in my previous quarter's report. As of the end of November, our net income is approximately $288,000, which was revenues of $1,244,000 with operating expenses at $955,000. We did receive our insurance quote for 2025, and overall the costs are going up by 9.2%. Most of our policies increased in cost this year. A few remain stable, and probably the smallest one actually decreased. And the end of the year audit is still ongoing. I'm hoping we will finish it up in the next week. And we had to obtain some additional documentation from some of the kingdoms and local groups. And I am planning to change how I collect this information from the kingdoms for the 2024 audit. I have reset the Kingdom workbooks, and I'm planning to meet with the Kingdom Exchequers over the coming weeks in order to go over those and explain to them how to make our lives easier going forward to hopefully streamline the reporting process on that. So I'll keep you posted. Publishable summary. The audit is ongoing, and I'm hoping we can complete it within the first couple of weeks of January. That did not happen. I'm hoping to complete it by the first couple of weeks of February at this point. I plan to reset the Kingdom workbooks. That's been done, and hold some Zoom meetings with the Kingdom Exchequers to review the reports and the areas that have caused problems for me and thus for them, so that we can hopefully avoid them. For the first time in 5 years, we have operated in the black in 2024, and we hopefully can keep that trend going. We need to continue our vigilance on where we are spending our money and what we are spending it on, and look into some additional sources of revenue, which I believe Bal has as part of his report. Travel, I went on a European cruise in December, and as such, I feel like I'm running 2 months behind still, even though I was only gone for 2 weeks. I don't have any current travel plans for the SCA other than local events, but that could change. I am not going to Gulf Wars, of course, because it is in the middle of tax season. So that's not an option for me ever until I retire in a couple of years. So the balance sheet for the society, let me pull it up here. As of the end of November, we did not have much cash in our bank account, but I believe that a lot of that has reversed itself. Our total assets are roughly $1.2 million, and our total liabilities are $142,000. So we have a total equity of $1,050,000. a large portion of that, of course, is in our investment account, which currently shows a balance just under $1 million. And that investment account is used to cover our operating expenses if we fall short during the year. I believe that pretty much summarizes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions, requests for clarification, et cetera, from the directors to the society treasurer? In that case, by consensus and without objection, the report of the society treasurer is accepted. And thank you.
Thank you.
Shep, is there anything else that has Carolyn's name on it that we need to cover?
Not that I can think of. I mean, does she know we extended her warrant?
Hey, Carolyn, we extended your warrant.
That's good to know. I would hate to have to like literally throw somebody into this job like tomorrow.
No, yeah, we talked about that yesterday. So yeah, I think that's it. As with Uni, Carolyn, we are certainly grateful to have your company in the meeting as long as you're available, but we understand you have other considerations, and you are welcome to excuse yourself from the meeting whenever it is appropriate for you to do so.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I will probably duck out right now then.
Thank you. In that case, then, we will rewind all the way back to the beginning of the agenda to item 2, the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to present the October 20, 2024 quarterly meeting minutes, the November 18, 2024 conference call minutes, the December 16, 2024 conference call minutes, the December 19, 2024 conference call minutes, and the December 22nd, 2024 conference call minutes for your approval.
And I will note for the viewers that these minutes have been circulated to the directors in advance of the meeting so that we've had an opportunity to review them, to look for any mistakes and what have you. I will then ask the directors if they have any questions or clarifications for the executive assistant to the board. Otherwise, I will open the floor for a motion to accept the minutes in toto.
Would you like to do it by consensus?
I would love to do that. So by consensus, then without objection, the minutes, the list of minutes, since I won't read it again, are accepted by consensus and without objection.
And if I might add just one little note, I would like to thank Liz Schreier. I was unable to attend the December 22nd 2022 meeting, and she did the minutes for me. So thank you.
Excellent. All right, that will bring us to item 3, recurring business. And first under that is A, status changes. Stacy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no status changes to report at this time.
Okay. That will bring us to item B. Take it back. There are no status changes. Excuse me. I assume that item B is the same. Just checking.
Item B would be if we had any new groups that required board action for recognition or dissolutions, and we have none this term.
Bringing us to item C then, the quarterly meeting schedule. Louise?
All right, so this is currently this is the first meeting of the year. We've got 4. The next ones are as follows. The next meeting will be held in person in the Barony of Loch Salon in the Kingdom of Artemisia. More information to follow. And the important part, that will be the weekend of April 12th. In-person meetings, unlike our virtual meetings, the public board meeting will be on that Saturday, April 12th. Then in July, for our next one, that will be Sunday, July 13th. That will again be virtual. And for our last meeting of the year, We are looking at Saturday, October 18th, hopefully to be held in St. Louis out in the Kingdom of Calontir. Invited guests will include all of us, all corporate officers, and the conference call schedule, because in addition to these big showy meetings, we also meet monthly during the quarter. Our next conference call will be Monday, February 24th, followed by Monday, March 24th. And that's the plan.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Louise. Without objection and by consensus, the board takes note of these upcoming board meetings and the scheduling thereof. I believe the next item on the agenda is also under your purview, Louise, the bank authorizations.
Yes, and as generally noted, all bank account authorizations have been sent through to the banks. And as Carolyn mentioned, we are continuing to experience new and interesting issues with trying to get banks to do what we ask. So, but they are all in process.
I will take this opportunity to let the viewers know how much effort that takes on your part. I won't go into any detail because no one deserves that. Certainly, I know you don't, but we are very grateful that you are doing that on our behalf, and it is certainly noteworthy and it is much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. And in turn, our local exchequers are doing so much on the ground. And I know it is very, very frustrating. And honestly, we're meeting in Artemisia. Maybe I can just send somebody physically to the bank to say, look, we exist. I assure you, please let us give you our money. Wells Fargo. I'm not going to name names. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Moving on to item E. I wonder if that would work. Item E is warrants. Leslie?
Okay, unless I missed something, I did not see any new warrants submitted with the reports this quarter. I will be working on Carolyn's, the corporate treasurer's extended warrant, and I hope to get that out to you this week. It's my understanding that I also need to rework the Society Exchequer's warrant to extend it as well. As far as upcoming openings, this will be covered later, but since it does fall under warrants, the Chronicler expires December 31st of this year. No, that may be incorrect. I'll have to check on that. That may have been taken care of. In-house counsel expires April 30th. The VP of Information Technology, April 30th, but I believe there was discussion of an extension, possible extension. Web Minister, April 30th. I believe that is already open and having input requested on that and a call for applications. Society Seneschal ER Deputy, that is in the capable hands of Stacy right now, I'm sure. And our communication officer expires in August, end of August. So those are dates to keep in mind. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Leslie. That would bring us to item F for ongoing projects. The first under that would be board recruiting. Krista?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For everyone's information, we are always looking for folks who are interested in working with the board, who are interested in serving on the board. We really encourage everybody to think about, what they would like to see the board be, and look around at your friends, look around at the folks you know in your kingdom, and make those recommendations to us. Currently, we're looking for expertise for folks who've got mundane expertise in things like legal, finance and business, digital media, project management. Also folks with corpora expertise. If you've read corpora inside and out, backwards and forwards, that would also make you a good board member. I know we've got several nominations that we're going through right now. We're looking at doing interviews here coming up to see if there's some folks that we're interested in joining the board. And we've also changed to where nominees for the board do stay on the nominee list for 3 years instead of 2 years. It'll give us a little bit more breadth in our nominee list. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I may exercise a point of personal privilege, I'm not so foolish as to think that I can dispel rumors or perception in the course of 30 seconds. But I will say to anyone who is thinking about potentially being a board member and whatnot, that many of the rumors or perceptions about being on the board are not true. There's some work involved in being on the board. It is, after all, a highly SCA functions aside is a highly mundane job involving the administration of a multinational 501c3 not-for-profit organization. But it is and can be an intensely rewarding experience to help shape an organization that has provided so much to so many of us, to have a hand in the direction that it goes, to help shape its future, to help set its priorities for what's important, and where we're going to spend our time and our resources. So if you are passionate about the SCA, if you have gotten anything out of it, and you can, are in a position or have the mindset to be able to apply that passion to give back, quote unquote, to the organization that has enriched you in some way, then I would highly encourage you to look past the rumor and the stereotypes about being on the board, and really consider what you can do and how you can help shape the future of the organization. It can very much be something. It very much be a positive experience, far beyond what rumor may suggest. So please look past that. It can be a great job to do. Board representation, actually, since we're on that.
I think that's Leslie, but if she wants me to, I can handle it.
I'm sorry, my machine froze for a second. Board representation, right? Right now, we don't have anything definitively planned. We are looking for suggestions of events to host panel discussions in the latter half of the year, July to December. If anybody is interested in hosting a panel discussion at their event, if they could get in touch with me, I would love to talk to them about that. You're welcome to email me, but that's it for the moment.
All right. Is everybody good to continue for a bit longer before we take a break? I see thumbs up. Yep, we'll keep going. That'll take us to item 4B. Actually 4B, old business. That would be proposed corpora changes. Stacy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board may recall, following a discussion involving in-house counsel, there were several suggested changes to corpora that went out for commentary in October of 2024. That commentary period ended December 31st, 2024, with a total of 8 comments received for all 7 of the proposed corpora changes. Mr. Chairman, shall I read these in order?
I will put that to the directors. Yes.
So I will do my best and hopefully will not lose my voice. Proposed change number 1. Proposed change 1 is item IC7, general role of the board, communications with the board of directors of the SCA Incorporated. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out to the board that this did receive the most commentary of all of the proposed changes that went out for discussion. Reading as any, now addition written communication with the board is considered public, adding subject to any confidentiality provisions of corpora, corporate policy, and approved officer handbooks, ending addition, unless the author stipulates at the time of writing that the document is to be considered confidential. Addition, any communication regarding sanctions and/or board/officer work product are deemed confidential communications. And addition, deletion, confidential documents will not be distributed outside of the corporate staff unless the author's permission has been obtained. Second paragraph, addition, the board reserves the right to declare any communication confidential subject to the author's right to republish the communication and addition. Mr. Chairman, that is the changes proposed to this edition, this section of corporate.
Director Bainter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we. Oh, I forgot the wording on this one. Shoot. My apologies. I was going to make the motion and then I forgot how we word it when it's a corpora modification. I was going to say the amendment it presented, but I know that's not the correct terminology.
You can approve the changes.
Thank you, Leslie. Mr. Chairman, let me try that again. I move that we accept the changes to corpora Articles 1C7 as presented by the Society Central.
That is a motion from Director Bainter, and I'm going to give the second to Director Shepherd. At the same time, I will offer a friendly amendment to use the word approved instead of accept, since I think that is what Leslie said.
I accept that friendly amendment.
Thank you. Is there discussion on this motion? Director Capps?
So while Stacy said that there were a lot of commentary on this, that commentary amounted to 8 people. At the same time, I do want to remind each and every one of our listeners or watchers and our membership that the hill that we will die on is the protection of witnesses during sanctions. And keeping some communication confidential is essential in protecting those witnesses during investigations. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Director Shepherd?
I want to expand on that. I 100%, 1000% agree with Director Capps, but to give a little bit of reasoning that our populace, our membership are always after, part of the reason for that is not just their anonymity, but also protection from retaliation. Oftentimes people who we have the unfortunate duty to remove or to sanction are people in power and positions of authority in the SCA. And it's important to protect the people who speak up. Speaking up in the SCA is not always easy. And it's our job to protect that. And that's part of why we have to do that. I'm not trying to naysay anything that Director Capps said. I'm just adding to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Further comments or questions? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? As a point of clarification, Leslie, the threshold for the passage of corpora changes is simple majority or unanimous save one, or
I'm going to defer to Stacy.
I beg your pardon?
The threshold for passage of corpora changes.
Oh, you would ask me that, and I do not have my corpora right here handy. Hold on just a moment.
Sorry.
We don't do it often enough for it to be top of mind.
I was thinking it was 5 of 7, but I'm not positive.
Shep's holding up 5 fingers.
No, I was just asking. While we have this slight downtime while Stacy looks that up, when we're done with this one, can we have a small break, please?
Understood. We will.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't have music playing. It's corpora states that it's a 2/3 majority of the board.
2/3. Thank you. So with that is 6 directors in favor, none opposed. That motion carries, and that amendment to corpora is adopted. Shep, do you need to break now, or can we get through the rest of the corpora changes? Okay. Stacy, please continue.
Making sure everybody was good with that because there are 6 more. Second proposed amendment to corpora 2B, requirements for participants at society events. Anyone may attend society events provided they wear an attempt at pre-17th century clothing, conform to the addition, rules of the society, striking, provisions in corpora, and comply with any other requirements, including but not limited to site fees or waivers, which may be imposed. At business meetings and informal classes, the requirement to wear pre-17th century dress may be waived. All participants are expected to behave in an appropriate and respectful manner. Mr. Chairman, that was suggested to change to rules of the society because we have other rules aside from corpora that this might pertain to.
Any questions or commentary? Floor is open for motions. Shep?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the corpora changes as presented by the Society Seneschal.
That is a motion from Director Shepherd. Is there a second? Second from Director O'Shea. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries, and that amendment to corpora is enacted. Stacy?
Mr. Chairman, moving along. Proposed change to corpora 6A2, society officers, general requirements and benefits. D, no society, addition, or corporate, end addition, officer may serve as a crown or coronet during their tenure in office. In order to fight or be fought for in a crown or coronet list, the officer must have served a minimum of 1 year in that office and must have an appointed deputy approved by the board who is ready and willing to accept all responsibilities for that office. Striking, committing to become a crown or coronet, addition, victory in a royal list, and addition, will be considered a resignation from office, addition, effective no later than their investiture, and addition.
Questions? Motions? Director Bainter?
I move that we approve the amendment for corpora 6A2 as presented by the Society Seneschal.
A motion from Director Bainter, a second from Director Capps. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? With 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries, and this amendment to corpora is enacted. Stacy?
Next up, corpora 8E2, personal awards and titles, reservations to the board, revocation of awards and grants of arms. As with peerages, the board specifically reserves the right to revoke any award or grant of arms. Kingdom law may make provision for offering such a recommendation to the board. Addition, unless stipulated otherwise by the board's decision in such a case applies only to the matter at hand. Nothing prohibits a person who has had any award or recognition revoked from being bestowed the award or recognition at a later date, should the Crown determine that the person in question now meets the requirements of the award or recognition being bestowed. And addition.
Questions? Motions? Director Bainter?
I move that we approve the amendment to corpora 8E2 as presented by the Society Seneschal.
A motion for Director Bainter. Is there a second? Second from Director Capps. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 directors in favor, none opposed, that motion carries and the amendment is enacted. Stacy?
Proposed amendment to Corpora 10B4D, grievances and sanctions, reservations to the board, revocation of awards and grants of arms. As with peerages, the board specifically reserves the right to revoke any award of arms or grant of arms. Kingdom law may make provision for offering such a recommendation to the board. Addition. Unless stipulated otherwise by the board's decision in such a case applies only to the matter at hand. Nothing prohibits a person who has had any award or recognition revoked from being bestowed the award or recognition at a later date, should the Crown determine that the person in question now meets the requirements of the award or recognition being bestowed. And addition. Mr. Chair, this was to bring this portion of Corpora into compliance with the previous section.
Understood. Other questions? Director Bainter? Motions?
No question. I was going to make a motion. Yeah. I move that we approve the amendment to Corpora 10B4D as presented by the Society Seneschal.
There's a motion from Director Bainter and a second from Director Capps, who edged out Director Shepherd. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? With 6 directors in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and the amendment is enacted. Leslie?
I'm sorry, I did not catch the second on that.
Director Capps.
Thank you.
Stacy?
Corpora section 10B1, grievances and sanctions, royal sanctions. The Crown of a Kingdom may sanction subjects, residents, and visitors within the borders of the Crown's kingdom for just and stated cause. Royal sanctions take effect from the moment of proclamation, but must be announced in court and also be published in the next available issue of the Kingdom newsletter if the sanction is to remain in effect. Within 15 business days of the imposition of the sanction, the specific cause and occasion of the sanction must be explained in writing to the sanctioned individual. Addition, unless it is impossible to do so, in which case it should be done as soon as possible. And addition, this deals mainly with issues surrounding postal delivery.
Any questions or clarification? Motions? Director Bainter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the amendment to Article 10B1 as presented by the Society Seneschal.
There's a motion from Director Bainter. Is there a second? Second from Director Shepherd, who is apparently back on his game now. Is there discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? With 6 directors in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and this amendment is enacted.
Last one, Mr. Chairman. Corpora section 10B2, administrative sanctions. Officers may impose administrative sanctions within their areas of authority for just and stated cause, only in accordance with the rules defined in their office handbooks or specifically granted to their offices by the governing documents of the SCA. Only the Society Seneschal, addition, or the board, and addition, may impose an administrative sanction that precludes the holding of any office, including that of Crown.
Director Shepherd?
I thought I'd give Pug a break. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the changes to Corpora 10B2 administrative sanctions as presented by the Society Seneschal.
Is there a second? Second from Director Bainter. If I'm keeping track, I think I would offer a friendly amendment to change the word accept to approve for this one as well.
That's fair.
Is there further discussion on this motion? Director Bainter?
As a clarification for our membership, this has always been the case. It is just clarifying it that we have not restricted the board by this particular section of the sanctions. And I yield.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? 6 directors in favor, none opposed. This motion carries and this amendment is enacted. I'm just going to ask Stacy, but is this really that really was the last one?
That really was the last proposed change to corpora, Mr. Chairman.
All right. It is currently 1:35 Central Time. In deference to the hour and a half or so that we have currently been meeting, what do you need, Shep? 10 minutes? 10 minutes sufficient? Does anybody need longer than that? Then we will take a 10-minute break and we'll reconvene at 1:45 Central Time. Then, all right, then I think we can continue. When we last left our band of intrepid heroes, we were going through item 4B on proposed corpora changes, and I just completed that. That would bring us to item 4C, variances requested by the Society Seneschal. Stacy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one variance to present to the board to ask for them to uphold this quarter. A variance request for the barony of Tarnmist and Kingdom of the West. This would be a second variance request for their baronial polling extension until March Crown, which is March 21st of 2025. This is a confidence polling and not an investiture polling. The barony did attempt to conduct their polling within the time frame of the previous variance, which was extension to 12th night, but continued to have issues with mailing and address gaps, and as a result, that confidence polling, while completed, only received 3 responses and numerous persons stating that they did not receive a ballot. So the West is requesting one more variance only for this barony. In the West Kingdom, their law stipulates that they have confidence pollings on a specific schedule, and it would only affect this barony, so that they can work through the membership information and their mailing issues. The items I discussed with the Kingdom Seneschal at the time were to amend their kingdom law to be sure that it would read something along the lines of that their procedure must include a polling in writing or electronic means of the paid members of the barony to be assured that everyone was in fact getting every opportunity to respond to this polling. This is a group that almost fell into abeyance, but they rallied instead. I granted this variance on December 20th with the strong reminder that should they fail to make this deadline, abeyance would be the next option until they can successfully complete their required polling. I ask that the board uphold this variance to West Kingdom law to move the deadline for confidence polling to March Crown for this particular barony at this time.
Okay. Director Shepherd?
Mr. Chairman, first, I'd like to, before I make a motion, I'd like to really poke the West Kingdom and any kingdom, if they have hard deadlines, to make some adjustments to their kingdom law to allow for some leeway so that this doesn't have to be an issue in the future. And after that, I would like to, I move that the board uphold the variance presented by the Society Seneschal for the West Kingdom to allow the confidence polling for the barony of Tarnmist, sorry.
So a motion from Director Shepherd. Is there a second? Second from Director O'Shea. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we will vote. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? With 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and the variance is confirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is all of my variances.
Shep, as a point of clarification, I believe in the discussion during the planning yesterday that item 4D would be remanded to the next meeting.
It would, Mr. Chair. That adding that was completely my my mistake. For the populace's or the audience's awareness, those if you're following along on the agenda, there were some corporate changes that we approved at the last conference call or at the December conference call. That part of them would return for further work. I mistakenly assumed they would be ready for this board meeting without checking with the Society Earl Marshall. That's my fault, and that's how they got on this agenda. After speaking with her, she'll have them at a future conference call.
And that will bring us to item 4E, which is the addition to corporate policies regarding the policy on conduct. Val?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there is about a month left in the commentary period for the policy on conduct. We have received some comments from the membership about this, and I want to kind of clarify a few things. Primarily, the SCA does have an emphasis on mitigating the risks to the organization because it's important to have an organization in the first place. So with that in mind, we cannot be as transparent as we would like to be. However, the policy on conduct, it allows a more generalized set of rules so that it may be possible for the board to cite violations for sanctions. That is a work in progress, and there are some details to be worked out on that, but that is how that relates to transparency. The membership did not quite make the connection between the two. So I wanted to state it here that that is what we were trying to work towards, while understanding that we want that the organization wants to be transparent, but we also have to balance the legal risks to the organization as well. And we are still awaiting commentary on that, and that's where we are on the policy on conduct.
Director Capps?
I just want to reemphasize that none of the rules included in this policy on conduct are new rules. These are all existing rules that we already have in place. Val has just done everybody the favor of moving them all into one easily referenceable list, which also has call outs to where those policies can be found in the rest of our governing documents. So thank you, Val. That was an amazing amount of work, and I can't wait to see this enacted. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Capps. I wanted to just add a little bit to what Director Capps said. Since the commentary has been put out for the policy on conduct, I have had multiple people reach out to me saying they didn't know that this was a rule that the SCA had. So it is pretty effective in letting people know what rules we look at whenever it comes to corporate.
That will bring us to item 5, new business. Item A under that is the Alternative Revenue Streams Working Group. Val?
So my proposal to the board is to, I know we have discussed in the past having a working group set up for different revenue streams. I know Carolyn isn't here, but I think it's important to look at ways to diversify our revenue streams for the society. And it would be helpful to have a group working on it. And I would ask the board to let me take the lead with my special projects deputies and assemble a team to look and present options for the board to decide on different ways to fund the SCA.
If I understand the request appropriately, I believe what you're asking for is the board action you're requesting is that the board authorize you to form such a working group to explore alternative funding opportunities for the SCA or something to that effect?
Yes, to present the proposals and compile different options together for the board to make a decision.
Okay. I will turn that question to the directors at large, albeit I think, for me personally, I think that's within the purview of your office to do so.
Oh, hey, board, I would like to do this.
By consensus and without objection, the board takes note of the direction that the president is heading with respect to alternative revenue streams and looks forward to the progress that he and whatever working groups he may form will make in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, directors.
Okay. And then item 5B is the Guide for Crowns Working Group.
So as you may have noticed, I enjoy working groups. So I have gotten some feedback from some previous royals that it might be helpful if there was a guide compiled for crowns, especially for first-time crowns, who may need a little bit of guidance on how to approach being crowned, or things to expect, or best practices and stuff like that. Obviously, the corporation doesn't have any. They would prefer if the royals work it out themselves. So my suggestion is to create a guidebook or a guide, I guess, put together by royals for royals to help them have successful reigns, and to let them know, best practices and things like that. So it will help them better understand the roles of crowns, how society can help, and things like that, and just help them, give them a little guidance to help ensure their reigns are a little bit more successful.
As a point of clarification, Val, and with the context that under our rules, crowns are officers, but from the context, may I assume that when we talk about a guide for crowns, that we are not necessarily talking about an officer manual with all of the resulting policy and rule stuff thereof?
No, it would be a non-binding guide. I know that there are various differences between the different kingdoms, how people do things. We would just compile some of that information together for reference, I guess, would be a better way to
Understood.
put it.
Understood. Other questions or commentary from the board or other officers? Okay. In that case, I will return to that. If I understand the direction that you're indicating that you would be heading, this, if I understand it, would be essentially the working group that you would intend to create for this would be comprised largely of former royalty who would compile said guide?
Yes, that would be correct, Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? In that case, much like the last one, I would say that without objection and by consensus, that this would be within the purview of your office. But certainly, I think, speaking as former royalty, I certainly could have used one in my first reign, and it would have been very welcome. So I think your any progress that your working group that you form from this can make in producing such a guide, I think will be progress and time well spent.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, Val, because that brings us to item 6A specifically, the report of the president.
Okay. So for, I've been in this office, I guess, when I wrote the report, it was like 6 months or so. And there has been a heavy emphasis on transparency. And, I just want to assure the membership that transparency is something that I will always consider when doing things for the SCA. However, there are other focuses for the SCA. We are a pretty big organization with a lot of things that we need to do to make things better on the society level. Specifically, things like solvency, growth, and our infrastructure. And as you notice with some of the projects that I've put forth and some of the projects that I am currently working on, a lot of those projects are geared towards those goals for the overall growth of the society and for the SCA. And I know that the corporation doesn't do things in a vacuum. And I would like to encourage any members of the membership who have ideas that they have about ways to improve the SCA to send them into president@sca.org so that I may review and consider what they have or would like to see in the SCA. But in the meantime, I have several ongoing projects that we are working on. My special projects deputy, Lori Ford, has really hit the ground running since October. And we have 3 projects that we are currently working on. The first project is modernizing the SCA's methods of banking, specifically looking at e-banking. And there has been a working group put together. The team has 11 contributors on it currently. And the second project is to streamline some of the stuff in the Exchequer's office and to make it easier. I know that Exchequer is a pain point in the SCA, and it's one of the more daunting offices, which is why I wanted to take a look at it to try to make it easier on the volunteers. My special deputy is looking at this in conjunction with Bonnie and Carolyn, and in the future with Aaron, working with the treasurer and the society exchequer to bring forth proposals for the board. The third project is to centralize and streamline the society officer handbooks and develop the SOPs and also develop the job descriptions and keeping them up to date, and then figuring out how to house all the information. That is something that we are also looking at. There has been a significant amount of work on the projects. Individual team members spend about 4 to 10 hours monthly per person. There's 11 of them, and they have been recruiting people for it. And in addition to these projects, there are other projects in the works currently. There's the implementation of the Patreon membership that was approved. I'm working with Luis on that currently. Since the October meeting, there has been something that made itself known that we probably should have an acceptable use policy, and that is something I'm also working on. And the other project is we are trying to develop a society level Discord, an official one. I feel like Facebook is a medium that hits a certain demographic. And I think that the SCA, in order to keep up with how things generally work for younger demographics these days, should look into other places like Discord, and maybe having a centralized society Discord where we could send people to the other kingdom Discords as needed will help increase Discord usage and help people connect a little bit better in general. For my commendations, I would like to commend Michelle Hayes for her time as Society Chatelaine. And she had to step down, but we are happy to have Andrew Harness step up as a new Society Chatelaine. And I'd like to commend him and also Amy Wilson for a successful Known World Newcomer Symposium. I would also like to commend Sarah Noble McGee for all of her work as the Society Minister of Arts and Sciences. She has done a great job promoting ANS activities in the known world. She has been extremely flexible for during this transition period for finding a new Society MOAS to replace her. And she was a great help. She redid the handbook as well. So she has put in a lot of work for the role, and you can definitely tell the passion she has for the arts and sciences, and it's very apparent to me. I would also like to thank or commend Kitty O'Neill, Kelly McKinnon, and Andrew Mesner for their work in putting together a set of options to send to the College of Heralds for the new range peerage. I knew they worked a lot on that. And finally, I would like to thank Lori Ford, my special projects deputy, Kira Mikkel-Daughter, and Petra Rozaki for their work on the working groups that I have set up. I know that I said that there were 11 members of those working groups, but not everyone wanted to be public, but I wanted to commend the people who agreed to have their names to be public. And that is my report.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Val. To the directors, are there any questions, requests for clarification, et cetera, for Val regarding his report? In that case, by consensus and without objection, the board accepts the report of the president. And thank you, Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This will bring us to item 6A1, the report of Information Technology Manager.
You can either have the ombudsman or that's under the president now, right?
It is, yes. Just looking for it. Shep?
Mr. Chairman, I believe we need to, in the future, change this to VP of Information of IT.
We
from
do.
manager.
We do. That is incorrectly labeled. I agree.
Just caught that.
Yeah. For purposes of today, I would ask that the ombudsman handle this report. Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the report of the VP for Information Technology. Requested board actions, none. Policy interpretations, none. New policies. This is an update to the policy issue approved in the first quarter of 2024 relating to email addresses provided by the SCA for officer use. The policy as it existed was creating unintended consequences. Therefore, I would like to replace that policy with the following. Email accounts provided by the SCA for an office are for official business and communications in relation to SCA functions. If an account is provided by the SCA for your office, you must use that account for all official email communications relating to that office. It is important to maintain institutional knowledge and continuity of information. As such, every effort must be made to maintain official emails for archival and legal purposes. This may be accomplished in a few ways. 1. An SCA provided email account specific to that office, which is transferred to a successor in that office. 2. A system which transfers all office-related emails from one account to another. A warranted SCA office must be able to trigger the system in case of emergency. 3. Other options that may be approved by the SCA's manager or vice president of information technology. Please note that the East Kingdom's email system is fully compliant with option 2, general status. The Office of Information Technology is emerging from its torpor and has begun to grow. We would like to welcome Tracy DeGarmo aboard as the SCA's first SharePoint champion and Isabel Lane as
Clarification. Don't we need to approve the policy?
We do. Jonathan, for clarity, could you read out his new policy one more time, please? Shep, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, we approved this policy in the first quarter of 2024. I think this is just an update on it. There was I believe there was a lot of questions about specifically whether the East Kingdom fell under this or not. And I believe what he's saying is that it does, unless I'm reading it wrong. If I am, I apologize.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Bob.
I believe you're reading it incorrectly. This is an amendment to the policy we approved, or the end of the first paragraph.
I'm noting the last sentence in the first paragraph. I would therefore like to replace that policy with the following. For clarity, Jonathan, could you read that policy request again, please?
Absolutely. Email accounts provided by the SCA for an office are for official business and communications in relation to SCA functions. If an account is provided by the SCA for your office, you must use that account for all official email communications relating to that office. It is important to maintain institutional knowledge and continuity of information. As such, every effort must be made to maintain official emails for archival and legal purposes. This may be accomplished in a few ways. 1, an SCA-provided email account specific to that office, which is transferred to a successor in that office. 2, a system which transfers all office-related emails from one account to another. A warranted SCA office must be able to trigger the system in case of emergency. 3, other options may be approved by the SCA's manager or vice president of information technology. Please note the East Kingdom's email system is fully compliant with option 2.
For purposes of discussion or potential voting on the requested new policy, I will stipulate to the directors without objection that as I read the new policy, the last sentence, please note that the East Kingdom's email policy is fully compliant with option 2, is commentary and not part of the policy itself. Are there any questions or comments regarding the policy? Then I will recognize myself and ask, in the second sentence, if an account is provided by the SCA for your office, you must use that account for all official email communications relating to that office. The way this policy is written makes no provision for incidental use of other email accounts, where in the case where you're not at home, for example, or on your phone or whatever, and are responding to emails under exigent circumstances or et cetera. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but do we need a carve out in here that would, because otherwise I could see where someone will try to make the argument later that if someone asks, I'll just give the example, if somebody asks the oral marshal a question and they happen to reply to that with an email or with a thing from their phone because they're not at home, and it's not on their marshal thing, that if they reply to it in email that wasn't from the marshal's email, that it's not official, et cetera. And while in the normal course of things, I would not want them to do that as a normal practice, I do find myself asking the question whether or not we want to allow for some flexibility for incidental use of alternative email for exigent circumstances. Pug?
I understand your concern. I am adamantly against it. In this day and age, phones can be configured to have more than one email address that they can be connected to. And if people have that out at events, for example, which many people would consider extenuating circumstance. Yes, thank you. That becomes a habit that loses a lot of communication that is official to the office. And I don't think that is a good practice for us to have at any level of the society. And I won't.
Let me counter propose and then I'll recognize Shep. In your objection to that, would it be sufficient then in that given example, if in replying to such an email or sending such an email, if they were to CC their official email in the reply, thus putting it into the records of their official email account? I mean, would that be sufficient to meet that standard?
That would meet the standard for the person, the officer responding, but the person responding back may not go into the official officer account.
That is also true. Okay. Shep?
Unsurprisingly, you were pretty close to what I was going to say. That can be fixed, in my opinion, and I'm with you. I'm a big supporter of this. In emergency situations, I think you could say, first off, I don't know how you would get that email officially if you don't have access to your account, your SCA account on your phone. But if they copied your personal email, then your reply back, if all you have is your personal email, can copy the Marshallate email, in this case, the SCA Marshallate email, and state in there, please reply all. This response,
Yeah.
is copied to the Marshallate email to make it official and to make sure that there's a record. When you in any response to this, please reply all. We can write up something for that, but the important part is that all of the email go to that Marshallate or to go to that SCA address.
Not pushing back at all. I'm just trying to think about the law of unintended consequences, to the extent that there is such a thing. Let me say that.
Yep.
Other questions or Shep?
No, I mean, and I think that's a training issue we can address with that for officers. But I think that would cover it.
Pug?
I was just going to counter that my other employer that I work with for Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, does not have that type of stipulation because of the criticality of having the information within an account and any legal requests for that communication. So I think it's a slippery slope if we try to make corner cases that would be acceptable, and they will be prone to accidents if we don't require just the official email account. And I yield.
As a mechanism to proceed then, directing the question to the directors at large, would it be the path forward then potentially to accept the policy as presented and then potentially to discuss the edge cases using the example given as a reference, or potentially other ones with Sam at a future conference call and potentially amend said policy at that time if we elect to do so? I see nods from Pug. Anybody else have any issue with that approach? Any other questions or comments? All right. In that case, the floor would be open to motions to adopt or send this back for further work. Pug?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the amendment for the VP of Information Technologies policy as presented by Dr. Director Foster today.
Look at that, Jonathan, you got a new degree and you didn't even have to go back to school for it. That is a motion from Director Bainter and a second from Director Capps. Leslie, question?
Could you please repeat that motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the amendment to the VP of Information Technologies policy as presented by Director Foster.
Okay, could I please get Director Foster to put that text into the chat so I can add it to the minutes, please?
Policy text?
Yeah,
it's in the VP of Operations report, or VP of IT.
okay, well, that's why I'm confused. It sounded like in your motion that
I will
accept
take a friendly amendment to remove the reference to Director Foster.
Okay, thank
you. To be clear, then that would be approve the amendment to the VP of Information Technologies policy as presented.
And I will offer such friendly amendment if it's acceptable to you, Pug. Good. Further discussion on this motion? In that case, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? Okay, and with 6 directors in favor, none opposed, that motion carries and the amendment to the policy is adopted. Jonathan, apologies for the interruption. Please continue.
General status report. The Office of Information Technology is emerging from its torpor and has begun to grow. We would like to welcome Tracy DeGarmo aboard as the SCA's first SharePoint champion, and Isabel Lane as the Special Projects Deputy for the Office of Information Technology. We are currently searching for a developer to begin taking advantage of opportunities to enhance our members' experiences through available technologies. The Azure grant for nonprofits from Microsoft was renewed, giving us another $2,000 in credits towards our virtual machine usage. The move to Azure has been a good one, resulting in a more stable and robust server presence. We have seen an increase in interest in the availability of server resources. My goal for the next quarter is to finish the policy document. That completes the report.
Thank you, Jonathan. Informally, I will offer my kudos to the VP of IT for intelligently using the word torpor in a sentence. Not one you hear every day. Are there any questions or requests for clarification on the report? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the VP of IT is accepted. That would bring us to item 6A1A, the report of the Society Web Minister. And I think Nick is with us, yes?
I am, Director.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is my report for the fourth quarter. We have no requested board actions. We have no policy interpretations. There are no new policies, no commendations. Our general status report. We have 7 kingdoms reporting and 13 non-reporting kingdoms for this quarter. Holiday and regular life responsibilities have been taking much of the officer's time. There have been several web minister changes in this quarter for the kingdoms of Ansteora, Trimaris, Kaid, and Drakenwald. After serving as the Society Web Minister for almost 3 years, it's time for me to prepare to step down and the board to select a new Society Web Minister. And I have been very blessed to have those volunteers from around the known world to work with during my tenure. I'd like to say to anyone out there, if you're seeking a challenge to help our organization in this capacity, please consider submitting a resume to the board of directors and the Vice President of Information Technology. My publishable summary is for the year of 2024 has some interesting challenges for most kingdoms while consolidating their assets and transferring data across platforms with site redesigns and policy changes. The volunteers across the society in both our office and other offices are noticed for their tireless work to keep our game running as smoothly as possible. I look forward to seeing more volunteers for the web ministry at the local levels in the coming year. There are many opportunities for local groups to utilize this office to assist with reaching out to newcomers in the SCA and for reliable and consistent communication to the public and the society at large. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Nick. Are there any questions or need for clarification? And by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Web Minister is accepted. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Item 6A2, the Society Communications Officer, Bridget. I will bundle this with item 6A3 for the report of the Society Social Media Officer. And since Bridget is not with us in the meeting today, I will deliver her report myself. This is the report for the Society Communications Officer as well as the Society Social Media Officer. There is a new official channel. The board is asked to approve Blue Sky as an official additional channel for Society Communications. At present, multiple kingdoms and groups are trialing this channel, and interaction engagement has shown it to be a worthwhile channel for official communications. This is under requested board actions. Stepping out of her report for a moment, it's not clear to me that this is not within the purview of her office. I would seek the opinion of the other directors in this. Megan?
I feel like it is, mostly because Blue Sky is a new social media outlet.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems relative to me. Yeah.
By consensus and without objection, then from the other directors, I would respond to Bridget and say that this would be within the purview of her office. So ordered. Policy interpretations, none. Society, new policies, none. Her commendations were handled in the break with the scrolling commendations call out. The general status report. The 2023 annual report will be published in conjunction with the 2024 annual report. Work has commenced on that document with the goal of both documents being published in February 2025 with the board's permission. With her term as communications officer ending in August 2025, a job description and proposed timeline for replacement will be presented in Q1 2025 with the goal of an incoming officer being announced in May 2025 to allow for full handover and smooth transition by the end of her warrant. July 2025 will be her final quarterly meeting. As an aside, I personally am probably going to cry when that happens because she is an excellent officer by any reasonable standard, and quite a few unreasonable ones, I might add. Publishable summary. Brand management is vital for the society as it establishes a strong, positive identity that resonates with members, attracts new participants, and fosters community pride. A well-managed brand ensures consistency in messaging, visuals, and values, helping to build trust and recognition. Communication and social media officers play a crucial role at every level by creating clear and engaging messages, managing social media platforms, and serving as the bridge between the society and its participants. Their efforts ensure the club's mission and activities are effectively communicated, enhancing its reputation and long-term success. Thank your officers regularly and sincerely. And that is the report of the Society Communications Officer and Social Media Officer combined. Questions, need for clarification? Then by consensus and without objection, this report is accepted, and I will pass that along to Bridget. And so ordered. Our next item would be item 6A4, the report of the Society DEIB officer. I will note that we are not in possession of the report at this time, and without objection, we will move on to the next item. So bring us to item 6B, the report of the Vice President of Operations, the Society Seneschal. Stacy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is my report for the fourth quarter of 2024. My requested board actions were already taken care of earlier in this meeting under Section 4. I have two policy interpretations, one that is more of a clarification, and the other is an actual interpretation. And I would ask the board to uphold these policies. The first policy interpretation involves corpora clarification with regard to the equity of knighthood and master of arms, which is corpora section 8, A4, A1, and section 8, A4, A2G. I was asked through the SCA comments for a clarification of corpora with regard to the equity of knighthood and master of arms. Corpora is very clear on the subject and does not actually require an interpretation as so much as reading the words that are there. From corpora, the section on patent orders. Among all the current patent orders, only knights are required to swear fealty. All other orders may swear fealty if they choose, but this is not required. The statement in corpora 8A4A1 states that the chivalry consists of two equal parts, knighthood and mastery of arms. All members of the order of chivalry are equal in that, one, they are equal in their prospective peers for inclusion into the order of the chivalry, and two, whether they choose the titles KSCA or Master of Arms, they each sit within the same chivalric peerage and hold counsel with the crown. The choice is left to the individual candidate as to which arm of the chivalry they choose to be. Masters of arms may choose to swear fealty and still take the title Master of Arms. Knights, however, are required to swear fealty at the time of their elevation. Differences in ceremony do not imbalance the two arms. Corpora section 8.4a.2g states that one, among others, of the duties of the chivalry is to bestow the accolade of knighthood upon a candidate for the order of knighthood by sole right as both sovereign and knight, or acting directly for a sovereign who is not a knight, emphasis added. The emphasized portion of that sentence is important as only a knight may dub a new knight. Master of Arms, as with all other bestowed peerages, are disallowed by corpora from bestowing knighthood without a knight participating in that ceremony. Therefore, a sovereign who is a master of arms could not bestow knighthood without the presence of a knight who will perform the actual dubbing. In many kingdoms, this has been achieved in a variety of ways over the years, including but not limited to a knight standing with the sovereign, each with a hand on the sword of state, while the dubbing actually takes place. In summary, corpora states that there are two equal arms that comprise the order of the chivalry, master of arms and knight. At the choice of the candidate upon their elevation, they may be bestowed either master of arms or knight by the sovereign, with the caveat that if the candidate chooses knight, then the sovereign must also be a knight or have a knight present acting for the sovereign if the sovereign is not a knight, to bestow knighthood as fealty is required. I would ask that the board uphold this policy. Clarification.
Questions, clarifications needed? Motions? Director Shepherd?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the Society Seneschal's clarification of regarding the equity of knighthood and master of arms as presented.
There is a motion from Director Shepherd, a second from Director Capps. Is there further discussion on this motion? In that case, we will move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? That is 6 directors in favor, none opposed, and that motion carries, and the policy interpretation is confirmed.
We have a second corpora interpretation that is slightly reworded from the planning session yesterday, including encompassing all the areas in the title. It was suggested that a corpora interpretation was needed for the term just cause as it appeared at the time in section 7L1. Corpora 7L1 under Kingdom, Principality, and Local Officers, suspension of an officer states, officers may be suspended by either the appropriate royalty or the superior officer for just cause stated in writing to the officer. Suspensions by the royalty are not for more than the duration of the reign. Suspensions by the superior officer are not for more than 90 days. A suspension takes effect, upon declaration to the officer, but royalty or the superior officer must be informed as soon as possible. The suspension of a kingdom or principality greater officer must be announced in the next available issue of the Kingdom or Principality newsletter. I noted while making this interpretation that the phrase just clause, as it is referenced in the above section 7L1, also appears in 7 other areas of corpora, including corpora 3E2. The board specifically reserves to itself the following functions with respect to branches of the society. Under that is to deny recognition to any group, regardless of other criteria met, for just cause stated in writing to the affected people. Also in corpora 3E4, to dissolve a branch should it fail to continue to meet the qualifications for a branch at any level or for other just cause stated in writing to the affected people. Also, corpora section 4G7, the Crown may suspend any officer of the kingdom for just cause stated in writing to the affected person for the duration of the reign. Corpora 4H4, if authority has been delegated by the Crown, the coronet may appoint, remove, or replace great officers of the principality in conjunction with the appropriate kingdom great officers. The coronet may likewise appoint, remove, and replace lesser officers of the principality in conjunction with the appropriate kingdom or principality great officer, if any. The Crown may require consultation and prior approval for any or all of these steps. The coronet may suspend any officer of the principality for just cause stated in writing to the affected person for the duration of the reign. Also in corpora 5A2, the Crown may suspend a territorial baron and or baroness for the duration of a reign for just cause stated in writing and presented only to the baron and or baroness. Suspension prohibits the use of baronial titles and arms, the conduct of baronial courts, and the presentation of baronial awards. Also in section 5A3, the Crown may remove a territorial baron and or baroness for just cause stated in writing and presented only to the baron and or baroness. However, the Crown must request a written opinion from the populace of the barony before taking such action. And finally, in corpora section 7K3, officers may be removed for just cause stated in writing to the officer by joint action of the Crown and the corresponding superior officer. If there is no superior officer, the Crown may act unilaterally in accordance with law and custom. An officer so removed may appeal to the board of directors. Just cause is a very open phrase, and it varies depending with what is just being very much the opinion of the superior officer or the royalty who would be doing the suspending. I gave this a great deal of thought, as the suspension or removal of any officer causes confusion in a kingdom, particularly if there is not a designated successor, and such turmoil may reach outside and beyond the administrative structure. My interpretation of the term just cause as it appears in corpora is this: the royalty or superior officer must show sufficient cause to support the action taken, as well as satisfying the oversight and review function of the superior officer up to and including the board of directors. Vague causes for suspension without sufficient basis to support the review function of the board on appeal, or for instruction or correction of the issues that led to the suspension, do not constitute just cause. An example of a vague reason for suspension may include the officer is unreliable. Examples of a specific reason for suspension may include the officer is unreliable as they have failed to submit a quarterly report for 2 consecutive quarters without notifying or contacting the superior officer. I would ask that the board uphold this interpretation.
Questions or requests for clarification? I will recognize myself and say that Stacy, I recognize that a lot of thought and a lot of work went into crafting the policy interpretation that you just went through. One that not only has far-reaching consequence, but also I think puts a reasonable and equitable definition on a term that most of us, if not all of us, understand viscerally, but sometimes have found hard to define in precise terms relative to corpora. And I think that where you ended up, I think, is has sufficient specificity that it is has clarity for oversight and enforcement purposes, but captures the essence of what was intended by the term just cause in the first place. So my appreciation and kudos to you for the work that went into that. Shep?
Again, I should actually stop raising my hand until after you're done speaking on a general line. So one of the things that we often get when we have to talk to a Crown or someone when it comes to the specific line is, or when that line comes up in something that we've that's been put out, there's always well, what's just cause? There's no definition for just cause. So this gives them that, and that's a long time coming and a good thing. So I really like that we've done this, and I really like how it's turned out. No, well done, Stacy. I yield.
Other questions, comments? Praise for Stacy. All right. In that case, motions, if anyone is so minded. Director Capps.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the policy interpretation on just cause as presented by the Society Seneschal.
A motion from Director Capps and a second from Director Shepherd. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor and none opposed, that motion carries and the policy interpretation is confirmed.
Thank you, directors.
Please continue, Stacy.
Moving along to new policies. At the December 2024 conference call, I had requested of the board to grant a variance for the Kingdom DEIB officers to report to the Kingdom Seneschals until such time as the Society DEIB officer is seated. The board granted this variance with my thanks. Therefore, until such time as the DEIB, Society DEIB office is filled, Kingdom DEIB officers will remain under the oversight of and will report to their Kingdom Seneschals. This variance applies whether or not the Kingdom has changed its laws to make the DEIB officer a Kingdom grade officer. For group status changes, I have none. My commendations were in the stack.
Before we proceed, Stacy, since that's a new policy, one, we would need to confirm that or not, but it also it's a new policy, but is referred to as a variance.
Mr. Chairman, this was the variance that was granted by the board in December.
Okay. I'm merely asking from the standpoint of, procedural standpoint, because it's in the new policy section, but refers to itself as a variance.
Understood. That's very likely my error for being a first-time report.
No worries. It's just, considering we have very different procedural things around that, I just want to make sure I was on the right page. Without objection, if and when the time comes, I think we can accept that without, stipulating the appropriate understanding of what that was intended to mean. Please continue, Stacy. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under group status changes, I have none. My commendations, I believe, were in the file deck during the break. Travel, in addition to a few events in my own kingdom that were attended in December and another one coming up in February, and those that are planned here, I will be at Gulf Wars, and I am looking forward to gathering with folks there and meeting some of my Kingdom Seneschals face to face. Under publishable summary, the kingdoms are reporting overall good health, although recruitment in some areas and filling officer positions in particular is still a bit of a struggle, particularly in our smaller groups that are in outlying areas where burnout and recruitment are still very much at the forefront. In discussions with Kingdom Seneschals, I am told of groups that consider merging, rejoining baronies, or even asking for extensions or variances rather than lose their sense of community. And I am delighted for the productive communications that they are having to work together to tackle these concerns. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization. Please consider taking a moment to thank a volunteer at your next event. As one of our Kingdom Seneschals reported this quarter, she says, every time I come away from a Kingdom event, I am always inspired. So from the gate worker to the person who makes sure that the floors are cleaned and all of our volunteers in between, you and your efforts are valuable, and we see you. Thank you all for the jobs that you do, small or large, that keep this game and our community going. And if you are one of those volunteers, thank you for your dedication and work. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Stacy. Are there any questions or need for clarification from the directors? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Seneschal is accepted. 6B1, Society Youth Activities Officer.
That would also be me. Nikki Santee is not here today, but I do have her report. From the Society Youth Activity Officer report, ongoing projects. Zoom meetings decline in attendance in the last 6 to 8 months. However, this is likely due to everyone being busy with SCA and family issues and projects, as it was mostly during the holiday season. Resources for youth, parents, and families have YouTube videos, websites, links, and PDFs. All of these have been shared with the Kingdom MOIs. Kingdom policies handbooks. There are at least 3 kingdoms that have updated or added youth officer handbooks and worked or are working on page schools and page school handbooks. Family activities. Kingdom youth activity officers are working to add family activities and working on how to work with the entire family, not just youth, for inclusion within the SCA. Of note, Anstiora is looking at warranting classes for ministers of youth. Aidenvelt has started an Aidenvelt Families Guild. Goes on to say that for travel, she is attending local kingdom events and will be helping out with various youth activities there. Under publishable summary, kingdoms are creating youth and family programs to ensure all ages can participate in the society through fun and productive activities. Outside of official youth activities such as BOFR and classes, there are increases of youth, teen, family participation in archery, thrown weapons, adult classes, and other areas that have been traditionally more adult-centric. And that concludes her report.
Thank you, Stacy. Questions or need for clarification? And by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Youth Activities Officer is accepted. I note that we are approaching 3 p.m. Central Time. I think it may be appropriate at this time to take another short break and reconvene at 3 p.m. Central without objection. All right, then we'll stand in recess until then. Louise is ready. I'd say then that we are cleared to proceed. The next item on the agenda is item 6D, the report of the Vice President for Corporate Operations.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The final quarter of the year is always a very busy one for this office, and 2024 was no exception, but I'm happy to report that all of the insurance certificate requests received for 2025 were processed in record time, and subsequently our broker had all the certificates that had been requested to me and to the sites on or by Christmas Eve. And if I could commend somebody who doesn't even work for us, honestly, I should send her an edible arrangement, because our insurance broker worked really hard to make sure that everybody could get their events and practices in time. We also had the evidence-only certificates for 2025 in hand before the midwinter break, much to the relief of many event coordinators and myself. These were sent out to all Kingdom Seneschals on December 20th. If you're out there and you need to provide evidence of our general insurance coverage to an event site and you did not receive that through your normal channels, feel free to reach out to your Kingdom Seneschal or to me directly at insurance@sca.org. As of January 13th, the membership portal has a long-awaited new feature. All SCA members are able to now just view their full membership information directly in the portal upon login. This includes your membership number, society name, kingdom, and background check status if applicable. This is due to now that Neon CRM has added this functionality to display our custom fields via the portal. That's been the thing we've been waiting for. We're looking forward to streamlining some other processes. The blue membership cards, your emailed proofs of membership, the digital cards, they're of course still available. If you ever have any issues, just reach out to us. We will make sure you can prove that you're a member and continue on your merry way. More exciting stuff. The Pensick War trademark service mark is up for renewal in June of 2025. After this, subsequent renewals will only be due every 10 years. The SCA, for information's sake, holds 4 service marks. We've got SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism, our Shield, and Pensick. As of January 1st, the official PO box for the corporate office has been updated, so please update your records. We're going to be making an announcement about this as well. Our very hardworking communications officer has been out on vacation, but we'll be posting an announcement for that. And our web minister has already been working to update documents in the back end. We'll be working to ensure that all relevant documents and websites are updated. Mail forwarding is continuing as it did the last time around. So just have a look. And I know that sometimes even after almost 4 years, the Milpitas PO box still pops up sometimes. So as you're looking to update your documentation, just have a look. And hopefully, knock on all the wood, we will never ever move again. But this office move has reduced our costs considerably, so that's been really good. As always, please reach out to us at membership@sca.org if you have questions or need assistance, insurance@sca.org for insurance questions and certificate requests, and for background check matters, backgroundchecks@sca.org or your Kingdom Seneschal. I know we have a lot of emails. It's secretly just 3 of us. We'll get you to where you need to be. So that concludes the report. Mr. Chair, I know that there was also something we maybe wanted to talk about with potential membership extensions. Is that something we wanted to bring up at this point?
I think we're going to do a little bit of work on that, Louise, in the next conference call. and potentially make whatever announcements are appropriate at that time.
Okay, understood. Well, then in that case, that concludes the report of the corporate office.
Excellent. Any questions or need for clarification? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Vice President for Corporate Operations is accepted. And I think this would bring us to the next episode in the Louise Show, the report of the Publications Manager.
This is my quarterly my quarterly show. Here is the report of our Publications Manager, Gloria Woodard, known in the Society as Honor of Restermel. No board actions or policy interpretations. General status report. The publications team continues to provide quality and informative publications for the SCA community. We have been fortunate to have some applications with impressive skill sets for the position of Editor of Tournaments Illuminated. The deadline for applications was the end of December, and the new editor position will be filled before the end of January 2025. I expect that information about that will come out in the next week, and we are looking forward to getting Tournaments Illuminated back on track. Let's see, I think that's it. Oh, publishable summary. The publications team produces monthly Kingdom newsletters, Tournaments Illuminated, and Complete Anachronist publications. If you're not familiar with our quarterly publications, take the opportunity to look through these amazing publications. There you go.
Thank you. Questions or any need for clarification? And by consensus and without objection, the report of the Publications Manager is accepted. We take note of the absence of the report from the TI editor, considering that position is vacant, and we'll move to item 6C3, the report of the Complete Anachronist.
Yes, this is from the editor of Complete Anachronist, Ellen Rawson, known in the Society as Ariel of Lindisfarne. Let's see. General status report has, things happen fast and furious in the publications department. So there is a slight update from January 1st sent by Ellen this morning. Complete Anachronist 206 will be Renaissance hairnets, a proposal for sprang as the method of construction. Let's see. It was taking longer than anticipated, but that's the one that will come out next. Will instruct people who work with sprang on how to make 16th century bonnets using that technique based on portraits. Apparently it had a lot of images, and that's what made it take so long. The next one will be Complete Anachronist 207 and probably 208, 2 parts, Hanseatic cooking. This is going to be by author Volker Bach. He wrote a previous CA, Carolingian Foodways, which we sell fairly regularly, and is a cooking laurel in Germany. He's experienced at translating medieval and Renaissance German recipes and cookbooks. He has published some professionally, and he is sharing some of his latest work with Complete Anachronist. So that'll be fun. And as usual, the report from the editor has an almost page and a half of other proposals in hand, which always sound, beekeeping. That'll be fun. So if you are ever interested, if you have an idea, manuscripts are always gratefully accepted. If you have an idea, there's the only thing you need is an idea and the ability to work and take editing notes. So you can always reach out to, let me make sure I give you the right email. It's caeditor@sca.org. And that is the report from Ellen.
Thank you. Questions or clarification? In that case, by consensus and without objection, the report of the CA editor is gratefully accepted. And that would take us to item 6C4, Society Chronicler.
Yes, the always short and sweet. And hey, if there's nothing to report, that means it's good, right? Society Chronicler Crystal Smith, known in the Society as Mistress Cecilia Blythe, OP. Policy interpretations, still working on response to those individuals looking for a change to requirements for baronial newsletters. No plans to change that policy at this time, but we'll be going through policy for any necessary possible changes. General status report, Black Fox judging completed, will announce soon. Publishable summary, no problems to report, still in need of a deputy chronicler. And we are very grateful that that Crystal decided to continue her warrant as chronicler for, I think, at least another year.
Excellent. Questions or clarifications? In that case, by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Chronicler is accepted. Last but not least, in Louise's section, item 6C5, the Society Archivist.
Yeah, occasionally Travis is here, but I guess this is my set as well. The Archivist's Report by Travis Schenk, known in the Society as Ramon de Javier. We've got, let's see, no board actions, policy interpretations, or new policies. General status report. There are no significant updates for the archive this quarter. Work continues, answering inquiries, cataloging, and digitizing the collection as time permits. No news is good news. That's what I say.
Questions or clarification? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Archivist is also accepted. And thank you very much, Louise, for going through that section.
Thank you.
We have handled most of item 6D. That would take us to item 6D5, the report of the Society Exchequer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Chair, I'm going to do my accommodations last just because I need to, please, sir. So I have no requested board actions. I do have a policy interpretation. It's around dedicated funds. Once a dedicated fund has been established by a financial committee, as long as there are sufficient funds in this dedicated fund and someone is requesting reimbursement from that fund for the outlined purpose of the fund, the financial committee does not need to vote to disperse the fund. The check request needs to be approved by the appropriate officers, and the receipts must be included with the reimbursement request.
As a clarification, Bonnie, understanding that this would, if I understand the intent of this policy interpretation, it is to clarify that the financial policy need not be involved in the minutia of the dispersal of funds from a dedicated fund. To clarify, this would not indicate in any way that disbursements from dedicated funds would not, also be subject to the normal exchequer rules, as with regard to whatever they may be as far as requests and approvals if their amounts are beyond a certain dollar figure, et cetera, whatever rules may be in place.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That is correct. Quick example, it would be like a royal travel fund. That money is dedicated for royal travel. And if their majesties submit a check request to be reimbursed from that fund for gas for a trip that they made, they should be reimbursed. The committee does not have to vote to reimburse them. They just need to do the correct paperwork.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or clarification from the directors? That being the case, then I would open the floor to any motion to uphold or return the policy. Director Shepard.
Mr. Chair, I move that we uphold the policy on as presented by the Society Exchequer in regards to dedicated funds.
There's a motion from Director Shepard, a second from Director Capps. Is there further discussion on this motion? Director Bainter?
The example that you used is fairly straightforward. If there are other dedicated funds, is it the appropriate officer's job to ensure that the requester is authorized to make that request?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any further discussion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 directors in favor, none opposed, that motion carries and the policy interpretation is upheld.
Thank you, sir. New policies, I have none, have no variances. General status, the 2023 report has taken longer than expected. Carolyn mentioned this in hers. Kingdoms will be getting their consolidated workbooks as soon as possible. 4 more kingdoms have been approved for scores usage, and that was the Middle Kingdom, the East Kingdom, Trimaris, and Glenavon. And publishable summary, we desperately need a way to access SharePoint for exchequers or some type of storage for our reports, so these can be accessed as needed, not only for just the consolidated report. I have no travel other than Gulf Wars at this time, and I'm gonna go back to the hard part. First, I want to thank, this is a hard one, I'm sorry, y'all. I'd like to thank all the local exchequers. They all have been wonderful. We could not do this job without them. The same goes to the Kingdom exchequers. They work behind the scenes and nobody sees them. They do the hard work. They have to say no when they have to say no, and they catch stuff for it sometimes. But I appreciate everything they have done and everyone I have worked with. James Baker and Christine Lust, I thank y'all for being my NMR deputies during my term. Like Carolyn said, it's been a little over 4 years now. I don't have to worry about, I never had to worry about either one of them with a report. James even came up with a good idea of having Louise invoice the kingdoms for their NMR. So we got all those big checks out of the mail, and that's been working so good. Thank you, Louise. Rebecca, I haven't talked to you in a minute, but she has been my QuickBooks deputy, and she has been my drop dead deputy. Thank you, Rebecca. She's in Aidenvelt. Susan Sackett and Nika Johnson have served as PayPal deputies. I want to thank both of them. I said my term is ending in the near future. There's so many changes we've witnessed. I was able to work with 2 VPs of operation, Louise and Renee. Thank you, ladies. 2 clerks, Teresa and Natalia. Thank you, ladies. 2 presidents, thanks to John and Bao. 3 society seneschals, Mike, Stacy, and Liz. You were all incredible. 2 society treasurers, Mizelle and Carolyn. I have been blessed to work with at least 30 Kingdom exchequers and 30 BOD members. We have experienced COVID. We stopped in-person events. We started in-person events. We learned to meet virtually, so we've never stopped. And I'd like to thank my SCA friends and chosen family and let them know how much I love them. They stood by me while I was Society Exchequer, and they all helped me through the darkest days of my life when Mary passed 2 years ago. Love you all, and I have had a blast. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Bonnie, thank you so very much for all of the time and effort that you have expended, for the time away from your friends and family, and from your time enjoying yourself in the SCA that you have dedicated to ensuring that our financial health is what it should be and must be in order for the SCA to continue to function. Your effort has not gone unnoticed, certainly has not gone unappreciated, and will not go unremembered. I think I am on solid footing when I say that all of us on the board, all of us in the corporate structure are extremely grateful for all of the effort that you have put forth for the society during your term. And I will say that your successor will have some big shoes to fill.
I'm sure she can. I have faith in her.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be honest, I'm reluctant to do it because it does kind of put the cap on on your tenure, but I suppose unless there are questions or clarifications, that without objection by consensus, that we will accept the, regretfully but thankfully, what is perhaps your final report as the Society Exchequer, and so ordered. Although I probably shouldn't have said all that sappy stuff right then, because you may have another one to do here with the 6B 5A with the NMR report.
I think that report is just, well, I can read it. Just 1 second. I'll have to find it.
No, that one with the numbers, yeah, I believe we take note of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so by consensus, the board takes note of the NMR report. Thank you. I think this brings us to item 6F. This would be the report of the Society Marshal. I believe in her absence, Shep, that puts that on you.
It does. This will be interesting. Yeah, she had something coming up today, couldn't make it. So far, I've managed to make it almost 3 years on the board without having to read an officer report. So all good runs come to an end. This is the report for the Society Marshal. Melissa Mizdor, known in the SCA, let me slow down. Known in the SCA as Arabella DeSiena. Requested board actions, none. Policy interpretations, reporting forms and personal information. Marshals in several kingdoms have expressed concern about including their physical address on reporting forms and how that information is protected and stored. I confirmed with the Society President and Seneschal that a physical address is not needed or required on Marshal report forms, as long as there is a way to identify and contact them. Thus, a membership number, phone number, and email should be fine in lieu of a physical address. This will enable the Kingdom Earl Marshals to amend their Kingdom reporting requirements to lower the collection of personal information as applicable. Society Marshal reporting templates have been updated. We need anything on that policy interpretation?
Yeah, Pug's hand is up.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the policy interpretation as presented by the Society Marshal.
The motion from Director Banter and a second from Director Foster. Sorry, Joan. Is there further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 directors in favor, none opposed, that motion carries and the policy interpretation is confirmed.
Under new policies, A, rules of the list. These proposed changes were approved at the November conference call and are attached, so we know. You'll be able to find those, by the way, in the minutes for the November conference call. So the background, proposed changes to the rules of the list in corpora marshalate elements were submitted in 2024 Q2, posted for member commentary on April 10th, 2024. 38 valid comments were received. Of those, 32 comments were generally positive in favor of the changes. 1 comment was generally negative against some of the changes. 5 were simply suggestions out of scope. Comments included 9 suggestions, 3 questions, 6 language or clarification concerns, and 4 general concerns. Responses sent directly to members to answer specific questions as appropriate. An adjudication report with the resolution response action identified for each comment was submitted to the board at the November 2024 regular monthly meeting. Actually, that'd be the 2024 conference call. Minor changes were included in the adjudicated proposed changes. Rules of the list proposed changes approved at the November conference call. Corpora and corporate policy, the proposed changes to the remaining marshal elements in the concerning documents had several questions from the board on sections 7 and 9 and were sent back for further work. They will be resubmitted at a later meeting. I'm going to skip down to her publishable summary because she has everything covered in there. Publishable summary, highlights, marshal office changes, DSM Rapier I'm going to be reading some names now. Please forgive me if I mess them up. I am no herald. Magistra Lilius D. Sherrington, Order of Defense. DSM Equestrian, the Honorable Lady Gisa von Wellenstein. Artemisia, Sir Gabriel Robertson. Atlantia, Master Giacomo Luciano Sevier Vicente de Firenze. East, Sir Reinhard Bessarab Draculisti. Around the kingdoms, Meridies, Rapier, and Equestrian continue their renaissance. Combat archery is encouraged in the armies and has started to become more numerous. Atlantia, expanding endeavors in target and combat siege. Outlands and Antir co-hosted 3 USA workshops with Arnie Coates, world-renowned historical European martial arts HEMA practitioner and instructor from the Netherlands. Workshops focused on both mounted combat and Harnisch-Fechten training. There are several efforts this quarter to improve kingdom processes and training. Caid conducted testing with WBGT over the summer to monitor heat conditions and utilize recommended rest cycles to safely conduct events. Outlands, the new web-based authorization portal is fully operational and transition to the new system is complete. West, continuing outreach efforts with their new online database procedures. Atlantia, their training deputy is developing and producing TCS packages, task condition standard, for training marshallet and authorizations. This will provide consistency and tracking. Lockak developed new siege rules and will be helping with the wiki conversion for society. They are also organizing concussion virtual workshops with their Kingdom Turgeon. The modernization project, 4 drafts of the new wiki format were sent to the KEMs for review, along with their deputies. These included armored combat, rattan, cut and thrust, equestrian, and target archery. Feedback and suggestions are being incorporated. 3 kingdoms will be piloted with the new wiki, AC Rattan, to demonstrate and determine the best methods on including kingdom-specific rules and processes. General status per discipline, summary, martial activities continue to increase across all disciplines, with some slowdown due to the winter months starting in the Northern Hemisphere. New martial activities and rules updates have been mostly well received over the last year, with growing excitement in the advanced historical elements. Armored combat, rattan continues as normal, with many areas reporting growth. Great Western War was amazing. One self-reported injury from the rattan field was a minor one. Harnisch-Fechten experiment continues to grow with more than 56% participants across 10 kingdoms. Armored combat rebated steel. The current rules and training programs are undergoing significant update to better align the program with original goals. A working group has been formed to accomplish this. Combat archery is winding down for the season. There were no reports of injuries or incidents submitted this quarter. In October, I attended Great Western War in the Kingdom of Caid and had the most enjoyable time. Armored combat archery portions of the event were run well and efficiently. The marshallet staff did themselves proud. There are no experimental programs. I have received a couple of contacts for experimentation with marshals, and there has been no follow-through. 12 kingdoms submitted reports this quarter, which is an improvement over the previous quarter. Equestrian. Overall, our equestrian program is growing steadily in practice and events. More individuals offer equestrian-themed classes and horse-related activities without horses. There were 12 equestrian events within the known world without any accidents or incidents reported. Most kingdoms have at least 1 practice a month. Some have up to 2 or more. Ethelmark in the middle and the Ethelmark, the Middle, and the West continue to lead practices this quarter. Virtual MIT classes are continuing to go well. GISA has been running these once a month. Drachenwald has events planned for May and August and continued discussing it with the Swedish on how to get their activity started. We also had to change in office with the Honorable Lady Gisa von Wellenstein, our new Deputy Society Marshal for Equestrian. Rapier combat. The Deputy Society Marshal for Rapier stepped up on 1 December and would like to commend her predecessor, Robert McFarlane, and Zandria Rosina Zabaros Gea for their assistance with the transition, and ongoing torso armor experiment continues to show promise with 1,130 participants this quarter. No injuries reported, the result of the reduced torso armor. Siege, no injuries reported. I'm going to figure out a standard report format to get things consistent. The kingdoms that reported are in good spirits and are talking about their kingdoms focusing on repairs for the winter months to be ready for events and wars in the spring. Target siege is also picking up steam as well, which is great. Target archery, good active quarter in most areas, but weather is slowing things down, and archery will be less effective in the colder climes over the next quarter. There were 2 minor injuries noted by kingdoms. Society seasonal shoot this past quarter was tic-tac-toe. The leaders in each category overall: Alfdis Hackensdotter out of Loch Salon, Artemisia. Period handbow, Paul Stoddard out of Starkfin, Caid. Open handbow, Aftis Hackensdotter, Loch Salon, Artemisia. Period crossbow, Crispin Fletcher, Nordskagen, North Shield. Open crossbow, Taliesin of Archenfeld, Fleming Griffin Midrealm, and youth, Brody Robertson, Weldesmead on tier. Thrown weapons. The state of thrown weapons throughout the known world continues to be strong in this quarter. We changed standardized reporting Google form, which was used by most kingdoms. While some numbers may reflect more accurate reporting, nearly all of the statistics continue to grow. That one exception to the number was number of participants. The one exception to that was the number of participants, which is down slightly 1% with the end of the summer war season. The fourth quarter, there are 1,302 participants reported. There are 486 thrown weapons marshals, 67 thrown weapons marshals in training reported across the known world. In the fourth quarter, there were 299 thrown weapons practices, reported 57 local groups. There were 76 events that included thrown weapons this quarter. Even with all of that throwing, not a single injury required. Professional medical attention. Youth combat. The COVID time for SCA drastically shrank our youth combat participation. We now have new marshals coming on board, and apparently many new Division 1 and 2 kids are discovering the SCA. War of the Rams saw not only wonderful participation from all 3 divisions, but also garnered a lot of attention from adults. Chivalry, Rapier, parents, and also new youth marshal candidates. I hope to see this kind of experiment growing through the kingdoms again. I've had no problems reported of any kind, which is great to see. Experimental programs, status now on sca.org document, marshal section. 3D printing and discussion among kingdoms and disciplines are resulting in several new and exciting prospects. Known world summary. The Society's programs for martial activities are increasing in numbers across all disciplines, with the largest growth in target archery and thrown weapons. Kingdoms are engaged in process improvement and increasing training for marshals. Several experimental programs are providing new prospects for improvised, and safe martial activities, and increased crossover with other historical combat groups. The modernization effort is well underway with 4 draft handbooks and wiki versions sent out for Kingdom Martial review. Travel, attended local Kingdom practices in the Outlands and Atlantia, the BOD meeting in Colorado. And that concludes the Marshal report.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. There's a lot there. So I will take special care and ask you if there are any questions or clarification needed from the directors. Pug?
Given some conversation we had yesterday unrelated to the marshalette, we should have the VP of IT and potentially the Society Web Minister look at the official status of wikis and how they can be used correctly for official offices.
Yeah, don't disagree with that. And I suspect that's something to put on the next conference call or perhaps in the planning meeting. Other questions,
Agreed.
other clarification? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Herald is accepted. Shep, I believe I'm correct in saying that the next item, which is 6F1, is included by reference in the Society Marshal's report.
You are correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and that has already been handled then. That would bring us to item 6G then, the report of the Society Minister of Arts and Sciences.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Here is my fourth quarter report for 2024 for Arts and Sciences. Requested board actions, none. Policy interpretations, none. New policies, none. Commendations have been scrolling during the break, but there is one that I think is really of special note, and that's Abigail Tilden of Eldermere, who prepared samples of knits worn by sailors from the Red Bay Project. These will be displayed at Red Bay, Labrador in Canada, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the history of Basque whaling. Abigail is working with 2 others, William and Christabel, local Laurels who have been contracted by Red Bay to make reproduction clothing for the site. Both learned their skills as costumers in the SCA. This is a really big deal for Arts and Sciences to be doing reproductions to be displayed at a UNESCO site. So accommodations to Abigail, William, and Christabel. Going on to my general status report. During the fourth quarter of 2024, Kingdoms enjoyed successful universities, arts and sciences championships, competitions, collegia, and displays, and local smaller events including ANS themed events and display opportunities. Kingdoms have been looking ahead, planning, and preparing for spring and summer, or autumn and winter and LOCAC events. Plans are already in progress for 2025 ANS events and activities, including plans for Gulf Wars in Pennsic. The Kingdom Ministers of Arts and Sciences from the Gulf Wars Treaty Kingdoms are continuing to actively work together to communicate ideas, improvements, and expectations for their ANS Warpoint experience. Something similar is being considered for to be worked on for Pennsic. The health of the arts and sciences continues to improve overall. However, finding volunteers at the local level and finding suitable event sites continue to be a challenge in many areas. A continuing development within the ANS community is very positive. The increase in non-judged interactive display with documentation opportunities. These are providing a much more positive, happy, and nurturing experience for the many active artisans who are hesitant to enter judged competitions. My publishable summary: the Society for Creative Anachronism continues to fulfill its mission to research and recreate the arts, sciences, and skills of the pre-17th century world. The fourth quarter has seen well-attended in-person activities, including war events such as Great Western War and War of the Wings, with a full schedule of classes, competitions, and displays, workshops, university and collegia, demos, most notably ones involving a play in Eldermere, and the work at Red Bay UNESCO World Heritage Site, also in Eldermere, and in North Shield, the creation of the Viking Village with cooking and fiber arts demonstrations at Leif Erikson Day, as well as the Marquette Regional History Center's annual archaeology fair. new arts and sciences themed events such as an artisan's life in Meridies, increased interest and activity among foresters guilds, including a challenge issued by the member of the Athelmerk Foresters Guild to foresters across the known world, and several local and kingdom competitions. Successful online and hybrid arts and sciences activities, including universities and classes, have continued. Kingdom and local officers successfully continue to update the ways in which we do arts and sciences activities, including training judges, updating judging rubrics, communicating with other kingdoms regarding ANS expectations at Gulf Wars and Penzic, verbal documentation, non-judge displays, and interactive display opportunities. The arts and sciences populace in general continues to be enjoying and benefiting from increased opportunities for display and discussion in a non-competitive format. The Society Minister of Arts and Science has a Facebook presence located at facebook.com/Society Minister Arts and Sciences. This page allows members to receive information about arts and sciences activities throughout the known world and encourages them to share their own projects, promote local artisans, and connect with others who share their interests. Recently, the populace were invited to focus on sharing projects that are shiny, messy, surprisingly useful, or involved fire. Next, we'll enjoy focusing on ANS project goals and dreams for 2025. As the Society officer, I continue regular outreach through the Kingdom officers to help encourage, support officers from Kingdom level all the way through the branch officers. The travel, there was no travel to report during this quarter. However, I do look forward to seeing many of you at Gulf Wars soon. And then as an addendum, I have submitted updates and revisions to the Minister of Arts and Sciences handbook. This concludes my fourth quarter 2024 report for Arts and Sciences.
Fine. Thank you, Sarah. Questions or clarifications needed? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Minister of Arts and Sciences is accepted. And thank you.
Thank you.
Next, and certainly not least, would be item 6H, the report of the Society Chatelaine, who I believe is here.
I am. Can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. First, thank you, Mr. Chair. With my non-functioning eyes, reading the report straight from the report is going to be incredibly difficult. So I would propose that either I can give you a synopsis or have my ombudsman have to read it. I hadn't considered that before today. I'm sorry.
Quite all right. I'll put that to the directors. By consensus and without objection, would a synopsis be sufficient considering we have the text available? I am reliably informed that a synopsis delivered in your own words will be just fine.
Perfect. I have no board actions, no policy interpretations, or new policies at this time. I know that the commendations have been scrolling. I do want to put an extra emphasis on Amy Wilson from LOCOC, though. She is picking up this office, and she stepped in as my deputy immediately and has not only helped me with the last newcomer symposium, but has done so many things that strengthen the bonds from all of our kingdoms and internationally. And whatever we do going forward, I couldn't do without her. She's been amazing to work with, odd hours, whatever it takes. So I want to thank her sincerely and specifically. As for general report, we are working towards making sure that kingdom laws are being updated and that to the new great office, and reports are coming in good. There's a lot of outreach going on right now, which is great because that's what we need to see. A lot of virtual opportunities for newcomers to kind of stick their feet in the water a little bit and see what they like about us before traveling 2-3 hours to go to an event. A lot of the ways that most of us grew up with, hey, there's a free seat in my car, we're going, you want to go, has also been picking up, which is does my heart well. And overall, I think the next few years are going to be really great, and we've got some big plans and projects, but Nothing to report. As far as travel for myself, I'll be going to War of the Phoenix and hosting a Chatelaine and newcomer meet and greet for a couple hours, just doing some community outreach and trying to get our newcomers outreach too as well. And that's my report.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Any questions or clarification needed? Then by consensus and without objection, the report of the Society Chatelaine is accepted. This would take us to item 7, the executive session. Leslie, if you would do the honors.
Yes, sir. Executive session was opened on Saturday, January 25th, 2024 at 1:21 p.m. Central Time and convened at 4:47 p.m. Central Time. Society Seneschal confidential updates. The report of the Society Seneschal was accepted as presented. There was a motion by Pug Boehner to direct the Society Seneschal to investigate a specific confidential matter. Second by Katie Shepard, opposed none. Chairman Mark Falcon exercised his option to do so in favor of the vote. In favor of the motion, exercised his option to vote and did so in favor of the motion. Motion carried. Malachi Eldridge. Directors Joan Starr and Katie Shepard recused themselves from discussion of or voting on this matter. Motion by Krista Capps to uphold the exile from the realm of Malachi Eldridge as issued by David and Brianne Wynn, Crown of Callantyr on March 13, 2024. Second by Megan O'Shea, in favor, Pug Boehner, Krista Capps. Jonathan Foster, Megan O'Shea, opposed none, recused, Joan Starr and Katie Shepard. Motion carried. Motion by Krista Capps to uphold the exile from the realm of Malachi Eldridge as issued by Elias and Adelaide, Crown of Callantyr on March 23rd, 2024. Second by Pug Boehner. In favor, Pug Boehner, Krista Capps. Jonathan Foster, Megan O'Shea, opposed none, recused, Joan Stewart, Katie Shepard, motion carried. Varian Moon, motion by Katie Shepard to uphold the temporary removal from participation in the Society of Varian Moon as issued by Connor and Issa, Crown of the West, and their Kingdom Seneschal on August 15, 2024, to extend the temporary removal from participation and to further direct the Society Seneschal to begin an investigation into possible sanctions up to and including revocation of membership and denial of participation effective immediately. Second by Megan O'Shea, opposed none, motion carried. Anthony Garza, motion by Krista Capps to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Anthony Garza, effective immediately. Second by Katie Shepard, opposed none, motion carried. William Reeder, motion by Krista Capps to revoke the membership of and deny participation to William Reeder, effective immediately. Second by Megan O'Shea, opposed none, motion carried. Lisa Adams, motion by KT Shepard to conclude the temporary removal from participation in the Society of Lisa Adams, effective December 31st, 2025. Second by Krista Capps, opposed none, motion carried. Tim Adams, motion by KT Shepard to conclude the temporary removal from participation in the Society of Tim Adams, effective December 31st, 2025. Second by Pug Boehner, opposed none, motion carried. Sex offender registries discussion. By consensus, this matter was remanded to the February 2025 conference call. Stuart Keekley, by consensus, This matter was returned to the Society Seneschal for additional work. Official announcements, the report of the Society Seneschal was accepted as presented. Office hiring updates. Motion by Joan Sturr to appoint Catherine Nikolic as the Society Minister of Arts and Sciences for the standard 3-year term and subject to the standard probationary period effective June 1st, 2025. Second by Krista Capps. Opposed, none. Absent, Mark Falcon. Acting Chair KT Shepard exercised his option to vote and did so in favor of the motion. Motion carried. Motion by Pug Boehner to extend the term of Carolyn Richardson as corporate treasurer for a period of 3 years from the conclusion of her current warrant. Second by Megan O'Shea. Opposed, none. Absent, Mark Falcon. Acting Chair KT Shepard exercised his option to vote and did so in favor of the motion. Motion carried. Legal updates. The report of the president was accepted as presented. January 26, 2025, subsidiaries. Action by verbal consent. All actions for the subsidiaries of the Society for Creative Anachronism, Inc. are accepted by consensus. Director resignations. By consensus, no action was taken. Director appointments. By consensus, no action was taken. Chair assignment. By consensus, no action was taken. Vice chair assignment. By consensus, no action was taken. Ombudsman assignments. No changes to the ombudsman assignments were made this quarter. Warrant expirations. The following upcoming warrant expirations were noted and returned to the appropriate officers for additional work or further work. Chronicler, December 31st, 2024, which I think the publication manager and the Society Chronicler have acted on. I will need to check on that. In-house counsel, April 30th, 2025. Vice President for Information Technology, April 30th, 2025. Web Minister, April 30th, 2025. Society Seneschal ER Deputy, April 30th, 2025. Communications and Social Media, August 31st, 2025. And that concludes your executive session minutes.
Thank you, Leslie. We have reached the end of our established agenda. I will turn to the directors of, is there anything that we missed or other items that need to be taken out of order? In that case, the floor is open if someone is minded to make a motion to adjourn the official meeting. Director Capps.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn this quarterly meeting of the Society for Creative Anachronism of January 26, 2025 at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay. And noting for our official minutes, which are in Central Time, that would be 4 p.m. Central. And a second from Director O'Shea. Is there any further discussion on this motion? There being none, we'll move to voting. Directors in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Directors opposed? And with 6 in favor, none opposed, that motion carries, and this meeting is officially adjourned.